Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of Latin Explaining with Denise. My name is Denise Gonzalez. For the people that are tuning in for the first time, for the ones that are regulars, you guys know already who I am. You know what I stand for. You know what is up. And also, I want to say welcome to another impromptu show. Today was not supposed to be the day that I was going to come back. I wanted to come back with like a more, uh, hey, I see that before I start, I see that I have MK, I see that I have Sec, Amethyst, Lioness of Videography. I see that I have Jose, Don Armando. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for getting the chat started. It's a pleasure to be here, back again. For the ones that don't know why I was away for so long, go to my community tab. Show me some love. What? No, go to my MK is telling me to tell you guys, but I won't tell you guys. Go to my community tab. Go to my community tab, show me some love, and we will talk about it on a different show. I will dedicate just a special show to make that specific formal announcement and talk about how it has changed my life, how am I doing, what were the challenges, how it all went down. So definitely, you want to go there and figure out why I was away, and show me some love. Now, I see that Jose says, Denise, you were truly missed. Thank you. I miss you guys as well. I miss streaming. I love streaming a lot. To the people that are coming in, we're just doing the greetings and stuff, but don't forget to hit the like button as you come in. I see that Don Armando says, y'all gotta watch Cocaine Bear. Do you guys know that that was something that happened in real life? I believe the bear passed away, because I think he ingested like a lot of cocaine. I can only imagine. Like, would you imagine a bear and cocaine? Like, how that would be? I don't know. That would be weird to me. I see that Daniel Valencia is here. Hey, Daniel, how are you? It's nice to see you here. I see that Airbnb is also here. Hey, Airbnb. Hit the like button, people. Make sure you hit the like button before we join the conversation today. I want people to engage and let me know your thoughts. I will open the call lines at some point, but I want to discuss something because I've noticed a trend that I it's not sitting well with me, which is why I'm doing this show. I usually don't like to specifically target people. You guys know that I don't do shows dedicated to anyone specifically. I don't like that. I stand for, just telling people straightforward when something is uncomfortable, or just leave it alone, because at the end of the day we're all grown-ups. But this is getting a little bit out of control, and I want to make some points so that moving forward people don't continue whining and crying like little girls in kindergarten. I see that Morena is here. Hey, Morena, ¿cómo estás, chica? And I see that Don Armando said that today is his birthday. Don Armando, my mom's birthday is today as well. I will never forget your birthday. March 11th is a very special day for me. As a matter of fact, my mom turned 60 today, and you guys know her diagnosis. So, of course, it is a blessing to have her here one more year with us. So, and that's another thing that I will share later on when I make more light-hearted shows, which is what I would like to do. So, Don Armando says, I turned 40. That means that my mom turned 20 when you were born. That's so crazy. That is so crazy. Enjoy yourself, Don Armando, and don't forget to have your health checked. Okay? Go to the doctor to get your annual checkup now that you're 40, take those vitamins, be careful with the supplements that you take. You can no longer eat that extra cupcake. But I hope you enjoy yourself, and congratulations on your birthday. Now, guys, today's show is going to be as long as it needs to be. Okay, I'm not going to time myself with the usual 2 hours. and 2 hours and a half that I do. I'm going to allow people to talk a little bit longer. That does not mean I'm going to be here 10 hours. Probably I'll do 3 or 4 hours. Uh, so make sure, like, if you want to come up, you come up early if you have something else to do. If not, we're going to do like a long night show. Okay, and we're going to talk about everything that we want to discuss, and today's show is called Married Women Desire Being Rated by Other Men. Okay, and you might ask yourself, where did I got this topic from? What is it? Where does it come from? Is it true? Whatever. And I will start by saying that the reason why I did this is because during my leave from YouTube, right? I've been asked, because of course all YouTubers that are on this, little corner of YouTube, we talk to each other. And I have been invited by my dear friend Radical Latino to several shows in which he's addressing issues in the Black community, just the same way that he addressed for many, many years issues in the Latino community. And you might ask yourself, why Radical Latino will want to discuss with other Latinos Black issues? Well, for the people that don't understand why Radical Latino wants to discuss Black issues on a Latino platform, is because his platform specifically dedicates itself to the union of Black and Brown people. He believes that Black and Brown people have sufficient numbers to get together and make some changes in the social political issues that affect both Black and Latin people. So he started his platform for whatever motivations he had, but he started talking about the racism in Latin people that's very prevalent. And I don't know if, well, I know that Jose Morena recall a lot of what, and MK too, about what Radical used to say all the time. And he became especially notorious around 2019 and 2020, when after a lot of people used to say that he was just making stuff up, the infamous video of Shiva went viral during the 2020 riots, right? So basically, he kept talking about all the things that were affecting us, how brown crime was an issue, how, there were certain things that we needed to fix within our families, and whatever reason. We talk even about feminicide. And we had a lot of Latinos that got triggered by the topics that we used to talk about. And till this day, they believe that they withdrew or ripped off our Latino card, and we're quote unquote not welcome on their Latino corner, right? Because we dare to publicly address what needed to be fixed in the Latino spectrum. Now, how does that relate to me? Well, my channel specifically talks about financial, political, and social issues that we do as Latinos, which are common mistakes, I've made them myself, that perpetuate the state and the bad issues that plague our Latin community. Now, in many situations, since I share my thoughts with people from all walks of life, and also people from other groups, of course, we have gotten like all these conversations that have gotten heated up, and I have had to address those situations on my platform. For example, I have 105 videos. This will be the 106th video, and I just made the count of how many videos, because that's another topic that I will go in depth tonight. I've made regarding my people, and I would say that roughly 97 of the content that I create is talking to the average Latino that comes to this country, does not understand the American culture, and does not understand capitalism, doesn't understand the steering wheel that we're being directed to, and ends up scrubbing toilets for the average American when we have more potential for achieving more. So I address that all the time. I address that mindset. And because I address that mindset that pursues the constant victimization of Latinos, I have gotten a lot of heat. And you guys know that I've been called everything but a child of God, and I have taken all those insults with grace. I've never beefed with anyone. I have never created smoke shows to like talk about anyone. I've never addressed anyone on my platform. You will never see a person, an actual person from that circle, even when they have used my image and likeness for thumbnails and denigrating pictures and stuff like that, just to insult me because they don't like what I say. I've never responded the same way because I believe uh, everyone's entitled to their opinion, even when I don't like what they say about me, right? They should have the freedom to say whatever they want to say. That's what I believe, okay? I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's what I believe. So, unfortunately, this past, I believe it was what, Friday? Was it Friday? Was it yesterday? Someone correct me. Was it yesterday? Okay, Thursday. We had a stream on Radical Latino's platform, and that stream was about why Black women were picked less on dating apps. Now, you guys know that I am 100% down with women accountability. I've talked about it plenty. You guys know what I stand on. You know that I believe that there's a lot of liberties that us as women we have that we don't know what to do with. We're out of control. I know, there's a lot of things that you guys know that the average woman might think that I'm misogynistic for saying, and so you guys know that I'm not necessarily a feminist. I've been very vocal about how I'm a masculine woman that has reformed herself, and also that I still have masculine traits, and I'll never be like a 100% feminine, traditional, conservative woman, whatever you want to call it. So you guys know how I stand on that. But I would say that I also go to the other side of male accountability because I believe, obviously, that because males are the leaders of society, they should show women, which are the followers, where to go. And the only way to do that in a free country is by introducing the power of consequence. Unfortunately, when presented to both groups, Black and Latino people, we have received the same feedback, especially me, which is something very bizarre, right? When I introduced the same concept to Latino men, I started challenging that instead of complaining about other males from other groups coming for their women, because of course my marriage was questioned as to why I was with a Black man when there was plenty of Latinos, whatever. Um, Oh, yeah, Ramon, we will address that. We will address that. Welcome to the platform. Make sure you hit the like button, okay? I see your picture from La Perla. Anyway, or Naranjito. I don't know which one it is, but I think that's La Perla, right? So, uh, so when I addressed the fact that in my vicinity, I was not personally looking for an African American. It's just that my vicinity, out of all the men that I encounter, I decided that the best and most fit men where I could go to and that was ready for marriage and I was sexually attracted to was my husband, was MK, and he happened to be an African American male. So that was out of my control, but it was something that I decided to do. So basically, the responses that I would get all the time is that I was a bitch, that I was fat, that I was this, that I was that. And then the prevalent thing that I started getting from these males, which we lovely call slow taps, is addressing my sexual value in regards of my weight. And I've said it many times. My Instagram is 100% public. People know that for a few years now, well, several years, I have addressed my weight, and I've struggled with my weight. And I posted it. Look at Robert. Robert's like, I was told I was fat too. Yeah, we're all fat when it comes to us telling them the truth. I have addressed many times, and I've said it even on my Instagram, which I personally made public, because I want people to know that, as myself, there's a lot of women that struggle with their weight. There's a lot of men in America that struggle with their weight. We have too many fast foods out here. Fast food is addictive. Sugar is addictive. I love chocolate. I love cupcakes and ice cream. So, of course, I've been very open about that. However, I bring value to my husband, and that's the only person that should not be considered creepy when addressing my value. Where is body positivity? There's no body positivity here. I love my body and everything, but we need to understand, Rizzo Ren, that we are fat, okay? We don't call ourselves thick or chubby or roundy or bouncy. We're fat people. We have to be very realistic. We're fat. So he'll say it's like I'm fat. I'm fat as well. Yeah. The average American is overweight. But putting that aside, I've never shied away from the fact that I'm fat. What I've always shied away from is unmarried men addressing my sexual marketplace value in terms of my body, which belongs to my husband. And the reason why I am addressing this is because I'm fed up. Okay, I'm not going to take another year now from the Black sector disrespecting the concept of marriage. And the reason why I am stopping it now is because it's very showing, it's very telling from certain personalities that claim that they're respectful and that they care. Oh, look at Ramon. He says, I'm still getting hate messages from your fans talking how we Puerto Ricans bow down to black guys. Yeah, of course. And I would say this. Look, and I would say this to unmarried men. If you go after married women to talk about their sexual value, there's two things you are: either creepy, and I want people in the chat to let me know if you agree with what I'm saying. You're either a creepy person, a creepy male, because that woman is out of, it's not an option. I actually made a poll on my YouTube that I will address in a minute. That woman is no longer an option. She's off the market. I'm off the market. And the worst is I'm off the market with a child from my husband. So you mean to tell me, like, you're either creepy if you're addressing a woman's sexual value, you're either creepy or you're jealous, because there's no reason why should that be of any interest to you. And I think many folks have embraced the immorality of crossing that bound. And that shows how deranged society has gotten, because I was told that you don't mess with married men. I don't know. I know that the ladies that are in the chat were raised the same way. We were told, you don't look at another woman's husband. You don't fuck with that, because that's another man that belongs to another woman. Same goes for the men. You don't even date or look or talk to married women, because they're another man's considered asset or property, whatever you want to call it. So why is it that when I'm speaking about things that trigger folks, that you address my sexual value, but then you claim you care about certain things like masculinity and marriage and conservative values and whatever, but you don't live by that? So it's like a contradiction that I find very interesting. I see that Morena says, yes, married men are a no-no. Exactly. You see, I know I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that have been raised to think that married people are out of bounds. Rizram says, "I know, but the same women who call you fat are also the same women who believe in body positivity." Yes, that is absolutely true. And I see that Robert says, "Oh yes, the trolls from your Instagram love to troll me and tag me in their crap." Yeah, my hate crowd, okay, is very loyal. Okay, make no mistake, my hate crowd is very loyal and I love them very much. They hate watch all of my shows. They press the dislike, which I adore, even though it cannot be counted anymore. Um, and they go after Latin splainers or anyone that interacts with me on a balance level. Those fans hate me so much that they will go and harass people that interact with me. So my hate fan base is very loyal. Make no mistake. So if you don't want any of this love hate, don't interact with my social media because you will get it. I see that Jose says, "I never said sweetie or honey to any lady who is not my girlfriend." Absolutely, Jose. I've never gotten that from you. You're very respectful. Same with Inter Boricua, same with Robert Lee. Like, I've never gotten anything from people that are normally on my platform. Now, we're going to move to my community tab now that I have established that, right? We're going to go to my community tab because I have dropped a few things since we talked about, let me share. I'm live, guys, and I am a little rough because I've been away for a few, right? But I share my community tab, which I encourage every Latin explainer. Now, from now on, I'm gonna put more stuff on my community tab and a lot of polls of things that I come up with. So stay tuned for that. Check up on my community tab more often. I asked people today, should a single man rate or assess another man's wife on her sexual marketplace value, her body or beauty? I've even had married men on the Latino sector, and I've heard them. I'm not gonna uh, bring out their names, of course, unless they deny it, in which case I'll have to pull out the receipt, which I have, that have literally sat down on public streams to discuss my beauty. Oh, she's extremely beautiful in the face, but her body is too fat. And I'm like, first of all, you're publicly disrespecting the concept of marriage, publicly disrespecting your wife, which you have children with, and second, trying to come and disrespect my marriage. Because I'm not sexually, and I want people to understand that I am not sexually attracted to anyone that is not MK. Okay, I may interact with other people, have conversations about issues and whatever the hell, but like, that does not mean that I want to sleep with you or that I'm attracted to you. I don't know why we have to explain these things in 2023 to grown people. So out of that question, I put yes, she's still an option. No, that's another man's property. And believe it or not, out of the 8 votes, right, we still have 38% of degenerates that believe that a married woman like myself is still an option to single men. And this is exactly the type of behavior that I'm talking about. Married women, and I'm not the only married woman, right, that is talking about this. I have other blogs that I would try to come up with a sit down with other married women, uh, in which we will try to discuss the need that single men have. And not all, we're talking about the deranged or the degenerates, right? They have a need to desire, crave, and harass other men's wives. I don't know why. I don't know what's the weird obsession. I don't know why they're so creepy. I did not raise these people, so I am not responsible for their behavior. But it's just to put out there how ridiculously creepy this is. Okay? It is not okay. And it's time for us to start calling this stuff out. And the reason why I bring this up is because When this happened with these low tips, which happened a lot, okay, if you've been following me since 2021, you know that this happened a lot. I've had my Latino fellow YouTubers call it out constantly on how creepy, disgusting, and weird behavior this was. Unfortunately, now that we're addressing these topics on the Black sector, I have not heard a peep from the people that have seen this happen before and claim that they are bringing this stuff up and that they care about their community and have been on those streams. If you were a Black person that was not on those streams, then don't take this personally because you couldn't possibly know. But if you were there and you've seen the commentary and you've seen the behavior, I expect you to comment on it. And I'm going to hold you to that standard because you were there. I see that Interboricua says, Denise, you can't mention women as a man's asset property. That's misogynistic. Yeah, I know. That's usually that, you know, Ramon. That's usually the commentary that I get, like from a lot of ladies. I say that I have a lot of misogyny to unpack and whatever, whatever. I see that Don Armando says, Macho, the last is a degenerate for mentioning my wife. I don't know why. Millennial, and I would say late Gen Xers, and definitely Gen Z, feel very comfortable with the notion of mentioning another man's wife and their children. It is not okay. It is not okay. We need to bring shame back and values. Okay? Because I understand that fatherlessness is very prevalent in our communities and in America in general. But that should not be my problem, you know? So whenever you come at me with the, trying to rate my sexual value, I'm a married woman, so out of respect for my men, I won't interact with you because I don't know if you're trying to make sexually advances towards me. There's no way you should be addressing my physical attractiveness. That's not needed for the type of conversations and that I have on this space. I talk about political and social issues and financial issues and news. That doesn't include my sexual value. I see that Daniel Valencia says, silly people, if it's men in that 30%, they're being delusional and childish. Yeah, absolutely. Roy says, hey, Roy says, what's up? He says, answer. It is not cool. It is inappropriate to sexualize another man's wife, another the wife of another man, but that is different from some emotional men just throwing insults. Yeah, it will be an insult if you're calling me a bitch. I've received that insult a lot. But when you're looking at a woman's body proportion, make no mistake, men like thin women, or men like thick women, or fat women, or BBWs, or whatever the hell, for sexual value. My body size is addressed only for sexual value. So why do you have to look at someone's body and rate it? I will never understand that. Okay, I will never understand that. Like, if you call me a bitch, okay, then you're trying to insult me. But when you're trying to address the sexual value of another person and that person happens to be married, then you're a weirdo. It says the reason likely is why those men say insulting things is because they disagree with your talking points. Yeah, that's another thing we're gonna get to. But let's continue to my community tab, right? Part of what I have seen on the comment section of Radical Latino, we have this individual called Mansa Musa. When he started calling me constantly a hippo, like as if that is something that it's supposed to. I'm supposed to feel offended. I don't know what he was trying to achieve with that, right? But he was like, everything is where Hippo Denise is from, who thinks she can lecture Black men. And this is one of the problems that we had in that conversation. We were talking about male responsibility. And I'm not going to shy away. So like I said, I know I also have a black men public that watch my shows. The men that these concepts do not apply to, and if you're getting triggered by this, it's time to just turn it off and go to watch Netflix, or I don't know what you're gonna do, but just don't watch this show. uh there is a degree of responsibility on why black women have gotten out of control from black men. I don't think it's 100% women's fault. I think that, hey, Blood Moon, what's up? I think that part of the reason why black women have gotten out of control is because black men decided that they could. That's it. It's very simple. It's very, very, very simple. It's as simple as that. Okay. So when people have these talking points, right, and they feel like we're lecturing them, maybe we should. Then he continues, and this is the hippo. These brothers sit around and let her lecture them. And then there's another one that says Denise is one bite of comida away from going out like Big Pun, and she's worried about us. She ain't nobody to take advice from, especially when she fled her home. Now, this comment I find the most hilarious. First, we go again at the fact that you have males that are unmarried rating a married woman's body type. That is weird. That is creepy. It is creepy. I love Blomun says women are not out of control. Women are free to do as they please now, and they take advantage of that to a degree. Yeah, I agree with you. Men, look, it's kind of like what I was discussing this morning with another person on another channel, that she was saying that women had abortions because they were bitches and they hated their kids and they had low IQ and whatever. And I'm like, well, the it's easy. We could blame women, and I'm not gonna lie and say that there's a lot of women that have no heart and use, hey Gigi, and use abortion as a birth control. I'm not going to shy away and say that that exists, but I'm also going to point out the fact that we have abortion because a male invented the procedure. And I can guarantee you that male specifically invented the procedure because he wanted to eliminate male responsibility after the fact that he had unprotected sex and ejaculated in a woman's vagina and created a kid. Okay? Can we admit that at least? Okay? It was created by men. So we're not mad at the man that created the procedure, but we attack the woman that used it. Mm, it's very weird to me why we don't want to do that. Why we don't want to, and I want people to start thinking before they come up, because I'm gonna bring people up in a second. I want people to come up and they will have to prove, not the ones that I normally, that know what's up. But if you come with these talking points about how women are the responsible for everything and men have no responsibility, I will want for you to tell me at least 5 issues that men have that do not have anything to do with women. If you cannot answer that question, then you are being disingenuous. And if that's the case, you deserve no woman. And I know a lot of people will get triggered by what I'm saying, but at that I think it's time for only married people to have this type of conversations, because unmarried folk are unruly. If you're not married, you're not in a covenant with no one. You have not gotten into an agreement with no one. And this is not a cheap shot to anyone. But like if you're not married, I cannot take any advice from you as to what it takes to be married. Because you're not married. You might be good at other things, but not marriage. So you don't know what marriage is about. And it's time for us to say these things without shame. Okay? If you're not married, you don't know what marriage is. You don't know what it takes. You don't know that it's a full-time job. There's a reason why a lot of people don't do it, because people tend to go for what's easier. And that's human nature. And I'm not judging people that don't want to get married. There's a lot of people that say, I'm happily single, and I believe them. Because they don't want to put up with that work. There's a lot of women that say, I don't want to have to cook for men or clean for men or iron their clothes or have to take care of them. And I'm happily single. And I believe them. And there's a lot of men that say, I don't want to have to come home to be questioned about every little thing that I do. And I don't want to be nagged at. And I don't want to be responsible to pay for another person's expenses and whatever. And I believe them too. Yeah, thank you, Jose. He says, I am divorced, but I will not advise people regarding marriage. Yeah, it's time for only married folks to start talking about what it takes to mate. Unmarried folk need to sit down and take notes. And I think that's what I'm going to go down with in 2023. If you are not married, I do not have to take what you say about mating seriously, because you're not qualified to make that assessment. And it's not personal. It's simply the way things are. If I am not a doctor, how can I know what a doctor's life is? I do not know. If I am not a mom, how can I look? I did not know what it took to take care of a child. I would sometimes hear what Blood Moon and Morena would say about kids and stuff. And even when I was pregnant, they knew earlier on. And I remember Morena reached out to me and she told me exactly like certain things on how she felt and whatever. And I could not understand what she was talking about first and how fast things move until I lived through it. There was a lot of moms that told me, hey, this is what's going to happen. You're going to feel this way. And I will never understand. A lot of people would tell me, hey, sleep now, because once the baby comes, you're not going to sleep at all. And I was like, oh my God, I got it. I've been, sometimes 3 to 4 days without sleeping, but that has nothing to do with what reality is. So the same applies for marriage. Exactly. Gigi says, why will married people take advice from single people? Exactly. It's the other way around. You have to prove to the crowd that your methodology on doing things has gotten you the result that people want. Majority of people want to be married. They just don't know how to get a woman or a man. Therefore, they need to hear from people that has gotten those results. Single people are not qualified to give that advice. I'm sorry, but you're not. Don Armando says, I got married and still feel I'm not qualified to advise people on marriage. That's an interesting point. And very humble. That's very rare, Don Armando, that we will see that. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I don't feel qualified for in marriage that I still have to learn. Because no marriage is perfect. I can speak on certain things like how to get the man, how to compete for the man, how to, try to solve certain conflicts with your man, because those are things that I've gotten through. How to establish healthy communication with your man, how to make a peaceful home for your man, but other than that, there's a lot of things that I don't know. So why do we have single, unyoked people thinking that they are qualified to give advice? Now, if we move forward, right, they continue the conversation and he continues to get super triggered, and he pulls out the poverty rates of Puerto Rico. He pulls out all the Black inventions He pulls out the cartels and all these things. It's like the whataboutisms, like, oh, but you do it too, but you do this, but you guys have that, but you, and the issue is not poverty in Puerto Rico. The issue is not the cartels. The issue is not brown crime. The issue that we're talking about is why black ladies get picked less on dating apps. And I highlighted that the reason why that is, unfortunately, is because of black men. And I'm not talking about the 30% of black men that do pick black women and establish a good marriage with them, or the men that are out there actually putting in the work to get a woman. I'm talking about the incompetent males that have gotten MGTOW, jaded with red pill content, going black pill, and whatever, which happens to be 70% of that community. And you might ask yourself, why are we qualified to talk about a quote unquote black issue, which is something that a lot of these people bring up? Well, first of all, I am qualified to talk about this issue, whether it's black, white, or whatever color, because I'm a married woman. That is the first reason why. You can kick, you can scream, and I'm still qualified to talk about it. You might not like it. You can say that. Not that I will care. I will still talk about it. But I'm qualified because I happen to be married. Second of all, why am I qualified and other Latinos qualified and other communities qualified? Because they have better marital rates than African Americans. That's why. And I know that will trigger a lot of brothers and sisters, but that is the truth. That's why. And you cannot like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But that's what we're qualified. Because when we look at the numbers, we have better marital rates. Because I don't understand. And I want people in the chat to tell me, like, when you were in high school or in college and you were failing at a class, especially in college, because you have to pay. I know a lot of people get grants and stuff, but certain people, like for example, I got certain grants, but I still had to pay out of pocket costs, and I did not want to get into debt with student loans. So I had several jobs in order to pay for college. So when you're paying for college, you really want to get an A. And at the very least, if you're very exhausted or the professor is an SOB, you're okay with a B. Okay? Your GPA will go to hell, but you're okay with a B. What you won't tolerate is a C. But you will move heaven and earth for an A. My thing is, if you have a problem, for example, I was an engineer, we had to take this class that incorporated calculus with electricity, right? In order for us to understand circuits and cables and electricity and ohms and amps and all this stuff, in order for us to understand the equation that would take to create a studio that had low equipment noise and more clean audio recording. And I remember there was a lot of people that struggled. I struggled too. It was a very difficult class. The tests were only 1 or 2 exercises in 7 pages because they were hella long. So you will want to pair with people that were doing better than you. You never wanted to say, hey, I got an F on my first audiotronics exam, so I'm going to go with the other motherfuckers that got an F and talk about it, because somehow we will figure it out. I never did that. I went with the people that had A's so that they could tell me how I could better myself and understand those equations, so that I could build circuits, so that I could patch up things, so that I could understand the exercises. You never want to pair with people that are failing. And this is why I keep saying when folks tell me things like make excuses about the black or the brown community as to why our issues are quote unquote related to white supremacy, this is why I often disagree. We cannot continue to put our personal responsibilities upon white supremacy. Uncle Sam is not making you suck at marriage. Uncle Sam does not make you mentally unstable. Uncle Sam does not make you non assertive. Uncle Sam does not make you unfit. It's like me saying, like, hey, I am fat because I am a brown person in America. And Uncle Sam only has me or allows me to purchase high fructose and high corn syrup products in my vicinity, you know? So I am fat because he puts all the fast foods near me and that's all I see every day. That sounds absolutely ridiculous. I'm fat because I grab the sugar and I put it in my mouth. And there's a level of personal responsibility when it comes to that. And I am so sick and tired of fellas like blaming Uncle Sam for their laziness. There is things that white supremacy does, absolutely. 1000%. And I'll be the first one to denounce those things. You being unfit for marriage is not one of them. You being mentally unstable is not one of them. Black people only married at a 30% rate is not one of those. Okay? So miss me with the BS. And I see that Morena says that should apply to people you interact with as well. Absolutely. You need to interact with people that are better than you. Your circle, you're supposed to be the dumbest person in your circle. If you're the dumbest person in your circle, you're in the right crowd because those people around you will push you and you will always be uncomfortable wanting to achieve more. That's what you should always be the worst. And when you outgrow your circle and you become the best, or at least at the same level, you need to look for another group that's higher because you have achieved a level. Now I see that uh, Robert says, I'm kind of sick of the white supremacy narrative. Blaming the white man for everything removes accountability from the group. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like we want to say these things, but like we are not doing anything to improve, if that makes sense. Like where do we draw the line between what is the white man's fault and what we should do? Because let's say that we take all white people, and this is just like suggestive, this is not reality, right? We put them all in a imaginary rocket and we ship them to Mars and they disappear from the face of the earth. Can you confidently say that you will thrive financially, socially, and romantically without them? Will that solve all of your problems if they just go away? Are they in the way? Like, are they closing down the courthouses so that you don't get married? Are they making prostitutes out of the women in our collectives? No, they're not. Right? Because, and like I said it many times, and this is a notion that might shock some people, right? But when I hear men complain about women being 304s, I have to question those men because I'm like, do these men know that if they don't put their penis in women's vaginas, their body count will never go up? Like, I don't put a number one in the shot if you agree with me. If men don't put their penises in women's vaginas, their body counts never go up. Okay? I want put a number one in the shot if you believe the same thing that I'm just saying. Thank you. Jose puts number one. And Morena said the undesirable. you know? It's so crazy. I see that Daniel Valencia says, never understood all that white supremacy mumbo jumbo, especially in people's personal behavior and dumb decisions. Yeah. Don Armando puts a number one. Gigi says they want to get their passports and leave their children here with their single mothers. That's another thing that I want to say. I believe that brothers that want to expand their horizons and women that want to expand their horizons should do so. You should not be shamed to a community that's clearly dysfunctional. It doesn't freaking work. If you're a man or a woman in that community and you want to just date someone else because it makes more sense to you, I'm here for you. I support you. I support you 1000%. Like legit. I will literally be your flower girl. like legit. Look at Blomo says, if women were not hoes, their body count will never go up. That is true. That is true. But who makes women hoes though? Who makes a woman rack up all those bodies? You get my point? What makes a woman rack up bodies? I see that Rakim says, I'm also sick of the disingenuous arguments when it comes to black men. You want to clarify that later, Rakim. He puts a number one too. And Gigi says, how about stop making babies and complaining about single mothers? Yeah, that's another thing. There's 2 points that I'm going to address, right? And that's before I open the call, because I know many people are just waiting to flood in, right? But the first one is, if black brothers say they don't want women with pre-made families, I agree with you. I don't think single men and childless men deserve that. uh I agree 100%. They should not have to deal with that. My thing is this: every single one of those men, and I've seen this with my own eyes, that claim that they don't want that to be the culture of black community in America, are the same men that have either laid with a single mother, that give their attention, have given their attention to single women. 100% of them, I can guarantee you, at least follow one hot single mama, one hot MILF from their collective on a social media platform and give them attention. It is a reality. So if you, and I've said it already on several streams, do not punish behavior you want to see repeated. And I've talked about the lady in the cardigan because she exists and I get a lot of resistance. But the girl in the cardigan gets ignored. Meanwhile, baby mamas and prostitutes get all the attention. That's why from the black sector and now the brown sector, because I've seen it in the Latino community too, we're right there behind black people. I've said it many times. I've seen hyenas that speak Spanish. So what concept of femininity do men really want? You want easy access to sex because that's what you pander to. That's just reality. That is just reality. That's just the way things are. And the fact that we have people that believe that if men, and it's very simple, if men don't put their penis in women's vaginas, you won't have women with high body counts. That's it. And I get that women allow men to have sex with them. I am not saying that. Okay? I am not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying is, if you and your community is in crisis to the point that 7 out of 10 women have a high body count or pre-made families that you don't want to deal with, you have to exercise penile discipline. in order to fix your community because it's at a crisis. And that's why I keep bringing the concept of responsibility from the men. That's why I go hard at the black men. That's why. It's not because I'm trying to bring them down or because I hate them or because, no, it's not because of any of that. It's simply because I find it funny that they are the leaders of their group, as any other man is, but they find no ways to find a solution to fix their shit. How do you fix your community? You don't put your penis in single mothers. You don't use your penis on women that you're not going to marry. And if you want to solve the overweight issue in the black community, and this is coming from a fat woman herself, you don't put your penis in big things. That's just how you solve that. Yeah, I just don't understand. It's so easy. You just don't give attention to that because, and I want the Latina women that are here to tell me your reality. Okay. When you were growing up in your household, who you were mostly scared of when it came to discipline, and who actually put the discipline in your household? Because in my home, when I was growing up, it was my father that usually carried what consequences were for me. He showed me what consequences were. Like if I were to disobey my mom's orders, my mom will tell my dad, and I will get a whooping or I will get privileges revoked and so on and so on, depending on what age I was or what I did. Like if what I did was very grave, my consequences will be harsh. So if we translate that into society as men, if women are out of control, hey, RBP's out, then you got to understand the only thing that's going to teach women order is consequence. So women need to understand, if you, thank you, well, Morena, but you were raised with your daddy, or your mom was one of the candela ones. Yeah, my mom was. What moms are usually more lenient. I look into my son's eyes and I know already that if he's like super sweet, like, or if he looks at me like, I already hear him cry a certain way or do the little cucharita, and whatever he wants, I will give him. I don't care if I'm super tired, if I look like a homeless person, I will give him my left eye if he wants it. Every time he looks at me with those cute eyes, it's gonna be my husband who's gonna have to discipline him because he's stronger than me that way. So it is a man's job to give women consequences. So if women are not giving you what you want, instead of just telling like, oh, there's nothing I can do, this is a free country, there's nothing we can do to solve the problem. Oh yes, there is a lot you can do. Just don't use your penis unless the woman comply to what you want, and focus on working on yourself. Morena said, I had both, but my mom was like a drill sergeant, laughing my ass off. Both my parents live in the home. Oh, okay, so your mom was just more structured. But the average Latino household is always like that. The father brings and even non-Latino, the concept of I'm gonna tell your father, that puts the fear of God in you. Okay, like if you get back grades and your mom in school gets called by your teacher and she tells you, I'm gonna tell your father, tus nalguitas van a estar peladas ese día. You know that. Your butt is going to be useless for like at least 2 days. You're gonna get fried. Don't even ask for a cell phone. Don't ask for TV time. Don't ask for ice cream. Don't ask for dessert. Like, don't ask for anything if you didn't deliver what you were supposed to. Like, come on. It's not rocket science. So the same thing goes for men. Yes, it's your freaking responsibility. You allow women to get out of control and you're not putting any control back. It's your fault. Why black ladies are out of control? Because men don't want to put in the work. They're only relying on 30%. There's 3 out of 10 Black males are extremely competent at relationships, hence why they are in relationships. And 3 out of 10 Black women are extremely competent at relationships, hence why they're in relationships. And I find it very unfair that 7 out of 10 Black people are leaving those 3 Black people to carry the whole community on their shoulders. And I'm going to support, and I've read this on another platform that is very notorious that I'm not going to name, but I actually read from them that part of their agenda is to separate themselves from the Black community and create an alternate Black community, because I believe they're tired and fed up. They're tired and fed up. And I would be too if I were them, because you're trying to get people that know that they don't come from backgrounds that signal marriage and relationships, that know that they need therapy, that know that they are very easily triggered and very gullible and live on their propaganda and victimhood. And they've been trying to tell them, we need you to act right. We need you to form a family. We need you to do things okay. Go fix your mind and get therapy. And they keep bypassing that, making them look stupid. Okay? So, like, at the end of the day, like I said, you receive from your counterpart what you give them. It's the same thing with the women. Women say that what I've heard from the Black ladies, right, is that they have men that have no land, that they don't build anything, whatever. But I'm like, at the end of the day, I understand that that might be true. The modern average American male is not just a Black issue. I've said it on many different platforms. The average American male today does not know even 50% of what their grandparents know how to do. They don't know basic plumbing. They don't know basic electricity. They don't know basic mechanics or basic construction. Majority of them do not own any type of land. And when people tell me like, oh, we want money. Well, there's 30. I just looked it up, yesterday? There's land in America that's being sold starting from 30K. And that pays literally like $168 a month. There's no excuse as to why you don't possess land. Unless you want to blame also Uncle Sam as to why you cannot grab an extra part-time at McDonald's to get that 168 and at least have that piece of land that you can develop, even if it takes you 10 years. I mean, it's not rocket science. You just don't want to read. Like how lazy modern people can be. Thank you. Look at Jose. Jose said it took him longer because Jose is not a teenager, but he said, Denise, I have been a homeowner for 5 years now. But he did it. So no, I honestly don't want to hear tears from people that have possibilities. For the people that complain a lot about not owning land, there's like 17 different programs to purchase property. So when you have women, modern American women, telling men that they don't respect them because they do not behave like their grandparents or their fathers moved, it's because of that. It's because of that. Like, you don't want a man that has softer hands than you. You don't want a man that, and that's something that my grandfather and my father taught me. Like, don't bring home a man with soft hands. Just don't, because we won't approve him. So again, like, if you don't have the money, then just say, hey, I'm gonna go get a USDA loan, which requires no down payment, and I will become a farmer. We like to blame a lot white supremacy as to why Black and brown people don't have nothing in this country. But I will tell you something. It's called generational wealth, which means that the first generation did the foundation from zero, which they were not rich. They just did the foundation. The second generation reinforced it. And then the third generation reaps the benefits, and they are the ones that are rich. So like if you start today, you're not going to be rich. You're going to be most likely comfortable and working a lot, but your grandkids will be rich. So when people say, oh, like we don't have generational wealth, you don't have generational wealth because you don't want to be a farmer. Like for example, look at where do most white families live. Well, most of them live in rural areas, and the ones that are second generation from the rural areas, white people, uh thank you, Morena. Exactly. I've said it many times. If you have Oklahoma money, and I said this to Latinos, stop trying to pursue Kim Kardashian's lifestyle. You're not Kim Kardashian. If you cannot live in a major city, then move to Oklahoma. It's cheap. It's upcoming. If you have Oklahoma money, then you have Oklahoma money. Move there. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I think what's killing the black community and the brown community overall, but especially the black community, is that you want to compare yourself to the whites all the time, but you don't want to learn from them. And this is the country that they won on. We all lost the war. I've said it many times. We lost it. They start from zero. You have no money. You have no credit. You have the desire to build generational wealth with your little wife that you found. Then you marry your wife in a very a courtroom or whatever, and you go to the USDA and you request a rural loan to like get a home and develop that land, and you start a farm, and that farm dedicates itself to developing dairy products, and you start selling those dairy products locally and then eventually to grocery stores, and then your children can have a future and expand. And then eventually, if you're lucky enough, your grandkid can turn it into a grocery store chain, and that's it. Your family is rich. That's what white people do. But most of our people just want to live in major cities and have the Lamborghinis and pursue stupidity. And that's why you're broke. It's not Uncle Sam's fault. It's your fault because you don't research these things and you don't care. That's literally look at Jose. Jose says, please miss me with the excuse that you cannot own a home. Yeah, like I don't care how long it takes you, but that should be your goal, and you should have a plan. And at some point in your life, you got to make it a reality. And you cannot blame Uncle Sam for the lack of, and have Uncle Sam pick up the tab. That's why we think people are clowns. And then it brings me to my last point. Many of these men, black and brown men, because I've had this from Latino men too, but I will focus on black men in particular, want to blame, and I'm talking about the 70%, not the 30% that's married, want to blame that women pick wrong because they pick Pookies and Ray Rays. And I had a discussion with one of my friends that's from Puerto Rico on this, like earlier, when he was saying that, oh, and like nobody wanted to pick me, and I'm a hard worker, and I do this and I do that. But to be honest with you, two abilities that are lost in society from men is protection and provision. Pookies and Ray Rays tend to be drug dealers, and that is a known fact. The same thing in the Latin community. They tend to sell drugs, and they tend to be cartel members or whatever the hell you want to call them. But you got to see it from a woman's perspective. You're of marrying age. Life has gotten exponentially more expensive, especially in America. And you have men that are blaming Uncle Sam for their lack of ability of being resourcefulness, because you might not have the resources, but you got to find a way, right? That's why I gave the example of the farm. So they have two options: either struggle with a man that's clueless, or go with a man that, even though he sells drugs on the streets, at least he knows how to manage a weapon to keep you safe, and will work to create money where you can have a somewhat comfortable life. So that's the decision that you're leaving up to women. So I would say, how do black men become more attractive to their women? Land a job, learn how to maneuver a gun. If you're fat, because that's something that I heard from Hazel. She was making those points on that stream. We want to talk about Black women's weight, but we don't want to talk about Black men's BMI, and that's a notorious fact. Like I said, the average American is fat. So to be honest, come on, if you're a fat man, you got to understand two things. You should consider losing weight because you will lose your ability to make money because you cannot stay at your job as long as you should, to provide for your family. But if you decide not to do so, well, you have to deal with the consequences of that. But then if you're walking down the street in the middle of the night with your wife and your kids and you get one punch to the gut, can you defend your wife and your kids? Is your wife safe if you're a fat man? Absolutely not. So I'm not telling you to lose weight because I don't have the command to do so or the power to force you to lose weight. But I would say learn how to manage a gun. That's what I would say. Like if you say, hey, I love fast food and I love sugar and I love cupcakes, I'm not gonna judge you because I love them too. But you got to find a way to make yourself attractive to women. And I think that's where the problem resides. And that's what brings me to the commentary that I was reading from people. And I'm glad that both Kevin and Rakim are here because I have nothing but respect for both of you. But it's very, and I'm gonna address Rakim because me and Radical love you like a brother. We've had discussions together. You've seen us calling out the laziness and the cowardice of our people. You've seen us in numerous streams talking about this. And the first thing that comes to your mind when it's time to address Black dysfunction is not, hey, yes, this is dysfunction that I have seen. We should address it so that we can find a solution and start brainstorming to find solutions. Your first line of defense is why you're not addressing your people or why you're not addressing the positives. And there's some sort of toxicity when it comes to only addressing positive aspects of people. Like when I see someone trying to tell me only positive things about me when I fully know that I have toxic traits, it's cringeworthy. There are things about me that are negative, and I want to hear those because my ultimate goal in life is to be better. As a matter of fact, I encourage my husband to tell me what can make me better. I love when he does that because it challenges me to be better. Why wouldn't I want to be better? Why do I want to? When did we fell in love with being mediocre? When did this happen? And I think it happens a lot with Gen X and millennial generation. We have fell in love with being mediocre. And then I address Kevin C simply because even though I respect him a lot because he's older, I believe that research on my motivations as a person and the stuff that I talk to and the stuff that I believe in is one click away. Like I will never want to address someone that I have not researched, especially if that person has a public platform. I have 105 videos, like I said earlier, and this is 106. And maybe out of those 106 videos, 7 are of Black people. One is about Vincent Simmons being innocent and wrongly incarcerated. The other one is about how Tariq Nasheed is profiting from people's pain versus how Ice Cube is actually putting in the work so that the Black community could be better. The other one is why do people think that African Americans are lazy when 84% of them are fully employed? The other one is, what is it? How Tariq winners victimize themselves and they will most likely die at the plantation in their mind. And I don't remember even the other one. It's never been about attacking people. It's always been about highlighting positives and also highlighting negative to bring solutions. So I wrote something, a dissertation, because it was very funny to me to see how there's selective You get selective upset from both Kevin C and Rakim. And like you guys, there's many blacks that also do the same thing. It says, leave your thoughts below. You can still leave your thoughts below. Like if you are if you're catching this on the replay, okay, of course. I said, I'll do a public stream just to read them. My public response to not only Kevin C, but also calling out Rakim on this, who was on the same stream and all the streams that for years we have broadcasted, calling out Latinos and the racism of our people and our crimes. But especially, I'll direct the majority of this statement to Mr. Kevin C. I want to know, and I will try to say this with respect out of your years, since that's how I was raised. How can you comfortably marry a Latina, live among our people, benefiting from the conservative values we have maintained in large numbers, not including all Latinos, of course, especially the ones born in the US? And I'm not saying all the ones born in the US, but the majority we know don't have those conservative views. And I said, and come speak on issues, a community you personally divested from, your resources and your masculine value, the minute you step out to marry someone else. Then I ask him, how can you as a married man can reinforce feminine and not assertive behavior from young black males towards the reality of marriage, which you know it starts with trade-offs and compromises? And when I say like he divested, that contrary to what people believe, investing means I'm putting my resources into something, my time, my effort, and any quality that I can contribute to. But if I'm doing that to in another community, then I stop investing there and start investing somewhere else. So yeah, he did divest it, even though he replied that he did not. Right. And then when he said that he's not pandering to the femininity in these males, these young males, well, yes, you are, because you're removing accountability from their actions. You're actually telling them that they're not responsible for 304 culture, that fatherlessness did not create that they should not call out their cousin, their brother, their best friend that they see abandoning a child, right? You kind of are perpetuating the culture that you say you don't want. And I said, also, I asked him, that says, what gives an African American man or woman the right to dictate who can speak on just how broken black marriage is when you're not qualified to make the assessment based on numbers alone and your amount of marriages? And I explained that already. And said, and as if that is not enough, how can you comfortably sit here and not call out the black males you claim you care for on their degeneracy of assessing and rating the sexual value of another African American man's wife, which is myself? That has killed everything you could possibly argue or leverage with when it comes to your points, because it speaks volumes about your moral code, sir. And I expect that a married man of your age to at least know that. Oh, trust, I'll highlight this as an amplified example of the lack of accountability and lost value system many modern blacks have adopted. Hashtag shameful. Right? I've said it. I'll drop it in a second, Rakim. Okay? You have to understand that if you do not want to be criticized, thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Gigi. Thank you very. You nailed it in the head. I could hug you right now. It's cultural. The black community does not deal with criticism well. The problem is not external. The problem is you. If you're telling people that they cannot talk about you, you are the problem, because you live among the people. It's very simple. Oh, you cannot talk about me because I am black. No, I can talk about black people because I live among black people, and because their outcomes will affect me too, and will affect my son, which happens to be half African American. So yes, if he wants tomorrow to form a black family, he's screwed. At the pace things are going, he's gonna be screwed. So most likely what will happen is that he will have to marry probably Asian or something else because the Latin community is following into the footsteps. So both our cultures will start getting erased. But we're not supposed to talk about it because I'm not black enough. Or I'm a woman, because I've also seen the commentary that, and I don't know if you guys catch that when Kevin was talking about how I'm not supposed to talk about these things. And he said, Denise is correct in some areas, but a Hispanic woman is not knowledgeable enough to speak on why black men are not marrying black women. It shows that non-blacks, he's not saying non-African Americans, he's talking about my blackness. Non-blacks have no business speaking on black issues. Black people do not create discussions on Hispanics, which is a lie because we know that Facebook, that YouTube, Twitter is flooded with black people talking about Hispanic issues. And it says the problems are not black problems. Radical asks, why are black women picked less on dating apps? As a man, he knows full well the answers to that question. I don't know if you guys catch the low-key misogyny. And I say this word because I'm catching a hate towards the female gender here. And I rarely use this term, very rare. Both Radical and myself are Latino people with black backgrounds because we have a black father. So we both come from indigenous looking mothers and black fathers, right? We have established that a long time ago. We're both Latinos. Somehow I cannot speak on that because I'm not knowledgeable enough, but Radical knows the answer as a man. I don't know if you guys catch that. I don't know if you guys think I'm reaching, you know? So I don't know. Do you guys think I'm reaching? Do you guys think that there's a hint of misogyny there? Because I think it is. I think it is. I see that Rakim says, "What Hispanic issues do Black people speak on, Denise?" Well, I'll tell you what. They talk about our crime rate. They talk about cartels. They talk about feminicide. They talk about our crisis at our countries. They talk about the femininity of our women, the femininity of our men, or the masculinity of our men. I can continue down the list about what Black people talk about because, and we don't get mad about that. Slow tips will, but I don't get mad about that. I honestly don't. So why we want to act this way? Him Blood Moon says Radical does not have a black father. Yeah, no, Blood Moon. I've seen his dad. His dad is like my dad. They're both black. We just took after our moms a little bit more. So yeah, is the fact that you know you hear from people certain things that are cringeworthy, and I want people to understand. I'm talking to the 70% unmarried or unfit for marriage people in the black sector. That's who I'm talking to. And I will continue. I want you to understand that these things, and this is the last I will say, I promise. This is the last I will say before I open the lines. These are the things that I've heard from black women, that I've heard from slow tips, and I'm now hearing it from this group of trigger black males. You're doing the shame, insult, guilt, and they need to be black. They need to be right. The shame. You're not black, therefore you can talk about what happens to black people. That is the first tactic that I hear from these males when I address their problems. I've heard this many times. That is the language that you speak. I'm sorry. And then the insults. Your country is poor, you fled, you're fat, your people are criminals. How come you're not talking about your issues? Those are the insults that we get after we get shamed. And when that doesn't work, we go to guilt. Black folks went through slavery, Jim Crow, and many after waves after that at the hands of white supremacy. You should avoid adding your criticism to the pile. So in order to guilt us or guilt trip us out of talking about issues, they use guilt to try to get you off of their topics. And then if that does not work, then they go to the need to be right. I will yell, over talk you, straight out tell you how you are wrong, even when you pull numbers collected by Black people, because I do not like what you said and I am triggered. That is the language that you speak. And I want people to understand, the folks that I'm talking to, especially these young males that I was addressing on Radical Stream. This is the type of communication that you use. You're not different than the women you say you don't like. You're just the same. You're a bad batch. You're part of the bad batch, and you need to correct yourself. You need to check yourself, and you need to check yourself into therapy to correct that. I don't think it's coming out of malice, and I will say this with love, but I think it comes more from stupidity. It doesn't come from malice. I don't think it's a malicious intent to communicate this way, but it's like just stupidity at this point. Okay, like young grown folks should not have to be told how to address a conversation without having to use whataboutisms, especially someone Kevin's age. Kevin has the age to be my father. So you should not have to use what about your community, or what about your Blackness, or what about this, or what about that, in order for you to do that. And I think I will start bringing more Black folks that believe that there is a cancer in the Black community that needs to be addressed and fixed, and want to fix it and are working to fix it, so that we can all talk about this. Because from what I have talked to Black folks that also want to cleanse their community, is that they're also getting attacked. And then what's the excuse? No, Rakim, I'm not calling you stupid. I'm calling the behavior stupid. Yes, that behavior is stupid. Talking in sign language is a stupid behavior. And if you don't abandon it, well, you want to use stupid behavior to live your life. You use sign language. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. You want to shame people to not talk about you because you're Black. You want to shame people because, oh my God, like, you can't address my issues because you're not the right shade of Black. Insult, like, what about your people? What about your crime? What about do this? What about do that? And then the guilt is like, oh my God, we went through so many things, and like, why you're bringing those things up? And then the need to be right when everything else fails. So just yell at people, over talk them, and try to tell them that they're wrong. So I'm going to open the lines, right? I'm going to open the lines so that people can start coming in. And like I said, you guys know that I don't like over talking. I absolutely hate it. If you over talk people, I'll time you out for like at least 5 minutes until you calm down, drink some water, and then come back in. So if you're going to come in, make sure that you relax. Let's have the conversation. Let's come to the conversation in good faith, instead of just trying to throw cheap insults, and just address the conversation, address the talking points. Not me, not my sexual value, not nothing that's related to that. And like I said, what that does is just making me want to talk about the issue more. Before I let people in, because you guys know that I always do this, I want to remind people that the views and the statements of the guests do not necessarily represent those of the channel and are those of the panel members, as some comments may be offensive to select groups of people. And also, I want to remind people that by calling into the live show, you waive your rights to the use of your image and likeness for the purposes of the show. So with that being said, guys, I want to welcome Rakim to the panel. What's up, Rakim?
What's going on, Denise? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
First and foremost, I want to explain myself really quickly. First off, I do not have any type of selective perspective when it comes to Black issues versus Latin issues. If you recall, when I was on your panels, which I've been on your panels plenty of times, which I've been on a lot of people's panels who've had always something negative to say when it comes to the Black community, I've never disrespected the Latin community, and I never talked down on the Latin community based upon their issues. If anything, I've always made a parallel between the black community and the Latin community based off of the idea that I am a black man. I come from poverty, I come from the ghetto, and I've always pointed out from a perspective of a person that has lived through that, that's gone through that, what other Latin people may be going through trying to make it in this country. I've never looked down and tried to point the finger at Latin people like I've of some type of high superiority in morality. Vice versa. When it comes to representing myself on a lot of these panels, I think I've been way nicer, or even too nice to an extent, when it comes to addressing a lot of the issues when it comes to the black community. Because from what I get from a lot of other people, when they talk about the black community, it's coming from a disingenuous place because in reality, they don't care. A lot of the times, these people that are talking down about the black community are people that go no further back than 2 or 3 generations here, first and foremost. And a lot of the times, let's just keep it real. Some of these people are racist. It's just that simple. A
But
lot
do
of
you
them.
think
Hold
that
on, let me finish really
randomly?
quickly. No, I'm not talking about you on radical. I'm just saying.
But that's
Let
what.
me just
But
finish really
then
quick. First and foremost, when I address Rad, because like I said, I got a lot of love for Rad, but ever since this whole Tariq Nasheed situation, it's mostly been either something going at Tariq to disprove him of something, or in turn, when I say it's nothing wrong with pointing out certain things and issues, but I haven't even seen any type of balance. A lot of the times, most people point out the dysfunction in black
of
people.
what?
I haven't seen
Hmm.
any type of balance. I'm talking about he already talked about the school situation and all of that. I'm not talking about that. When I say something positive, it's a lot of brothers right now that you can just do a Google search and see brothers opening up their businesses, buying real estate, property, doing all types of stuff. Not even putting up anything positive on some of the trials and tribulations that black people overcame during Black History Month. I understand that Radical's been busy. He has a life outside of YouTube, but for the most part, for a minute, a lot of the things that he's addressed has just been something more than likely negative. What you say that black people say about the Latin community now, in my personal opinion, have been in defense, because a lot of black people are not just saying this out of nowhere just to make fun of the Latin community. A lot of black people have said this in defense of when certain people try to make it seem like that their community is such more in higher standing. And then that's when, because most black people don't know about any type of dysfunction within the Latin community. If anything, you see black people on here giving Latin people props as far as their community, or saying that they're more family orientated, or they have this and that. It's only when people come with some type of vitriol and anti-blackness that a lot of these people start pointing out
Okay,
and
I'm
reflecting
gonna
in the
stop you.
mirror.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Right. Um, this is my problem with what you say. Uh, First of all, the only access that you have to Latin people in cyberspaces, at least in this corner, is Ra and me that will tell you like or Morena or somebody else, but I don't know like how close you are to other Latinos in this corner, but that can give you a balanced view of what Latin people have to endure from the black sector when it comes to criticism. I think that we receive both equal criticism on both ends. Like, you're not Latino, like, for you to say how much criticism you get. It's like me saying to you, you don't know how much criticism black men get from Latinos. I cannot dictate how much criticism you get because I'm not a black male. Does that make sense? Like, you cannot dictate like, oh, like we are just defending ourselves. Like, this is the problem that I keep telling you, that I noticed that and like I said, I say this with love, but like I noticed that you use sign language a lot in order to make your point, which is like shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Like, you try to guilt trip people like me and Rad and other Latinos in order for you to make your point. Like, you will tell us things like, oh, like, like we are just defending ourselves from like this racism or anti-blackness or whatever, and you will come at us with talking points that make literally no sense to like us because it doesn't apply to us. We don't spew anti-blackness. We actually attack, and you are a witness to this, which I also find very funny that you only address that when it's convenient. Like, you know how hard we go at Latino anti-blackness.
I never said you and Radical,
No, no,
Denise. I just said
I
that in
didn't
the
say that,
beginning.
but let me
But you're
finish.
using you and Radical as an example. I never said you were Radical.
Wait. We go very hard at anti-blackness. We don't tolerate that. You know the years of work we have put into Latino racism. And I have not heard a single peep from you validating that, but I do hear you getting very upset when it comes to trying to paint Radical as selective when it comes to black issues, hinting at him being a racist, which is how it will come off. I don't know if you
I never
understand that.
hinted.
No,
No, I
no,
don't, because I've never hinted
hold
that.
on, but
And
hold
I've
on,
been on your channels. I've been on your you and Radical. Let me.
Rakim. I'll have to mute you for a minute. Calm down. We're having a conversation. When we say things publicly in a public platform, we have to understand that they come off a certain way to the public. And if as a black male you go on a Latin on a Latino platform and you tell the host that he selects only negative things to talk about black people that are recently tuning in or people that are not quite familiar with a Latino platform will assume that what you're hinting at is that that person is racist, right? Can we at least admit that? Can we at least say that that is true?
So now you unmute my mic. No, what I would
No,
say
I
that was
mute
true
you because
is that I address what Radical has recently said. I've given you and Radical plenty of props because you guys are not around a lot of black spaces either. Just like you say, I'm not around a lot of Latin spaces. I've given you guys plenty of props. I've given you and Radical props. I've been on your show more than anybody and anybody of any other live streams that have ever done any type of live streams. I pointed that out within that particular time period, and I don't have to hint at anything about Radical being about which I don't believe at all, because Radical has defended black people to the upteenth degree. So I don't hint at that at all. Only thing people got to do is look at the thumbnails of the video and videos for months now and see if it's anything that, of course, Radical says it's clickbait, anything like that, which I'm not knocking that at all. Okay, do your clickbait. The only thing I was saying is, if you still believe in black and brown unity and black and brown empowerment, how about we get a few other videos of something more positive to show some type of balance. That way, your criticisms will hold a little bit more weight than a lot of the times it just being criticisms about our dysfunction without showing the balance on the opposite end of that spectrum. That's the only thing that I was saying.
okay, but this is my thing, Rakim. And I want you to just say yes or no, and the people in the chat can also respond to this. When Radical spoke on Latino issues, was it positive or was highlighting our dysfunction?
Radical was speaking on that the racism from the Hispano test or the
Okay,
Holocaust.
did
That's
it,
that's it.
but was he talking about the beautiful aspects of Latinos or he just highlighted our dysfunction?
You can say that. Yes, you can
I
say
can
that.
say what?
Well, you say he highlighted. Um, well, he pretty much just like highlighted that with the racism that they felt. Like we're not talking
And
about the
highlighted
Latin
and
community.
he highlighted our dysfunction, right? We can agree to that, right?
He addressed the racism in the Latin community.
Not only that, he also addressed the fact that we were not better than black people because we were just
Yes, he
as
did.
dysfunctional,
Yes, he
right?
did.
He
Yes,
never
he did.
addressed positive aspects of Latinidad, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Well, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
So if if his platform is notorious in order to establish black and brown unity, his approach to black and brown unity is to reform both communities in order to bring them together, then why is it only racism when we're addressing one of the components of black and brown unity? That's the part I'm lost.
Nobody say I'm not saying that it's racism in anything, Denise.
But
The
that's
only
what it's
thing I'm
hinted
saying it's a
at. That's
flaw.
what it's
No,
hinted at.
well, if that's what it's hinting at, then people can take that however they want to take that. That's not what I'm saying. Because what a lot of the things that a lot of other people say are hinted at however it is as well. The only thing I'm saying is that it comes from a flawed perspective on certain things when you're not informed, when you're just saying things based off it. So let's say, so what you and Rad are saying, is that based off opinion or is that based off of fact?
Well, I base my opinions on facts. I don't know about
No, it's
radical
not
because I'm
facts
not him.
because you haven't done a lot of the research you haven't done when it comes to what's going on with the black community. You haven't had
What
black
research?
intellectuals up here.
What
You haven't
research?
had
No, what
what
research? What research do I need to know now that you bring that up? Because this is the second time I've heard this. What research do I need to know that 70% of black women and black men do not want to get along with one another outside of what black
what see
demographics?
is this
No, hold on.
you
Outside of
said
what black?
70% of black people not wanting to get
Hold
along.
on,
Is that a
hold on.
statistic or is that
Rakim,
your opinion?
Rakim, Rakim,
Because
Rakim.
I never
Out.
saw a
Wait,
stat that said
wait, wait,
70% of black
wait,
men and women
wait,
don't
wait,
want to get
wait,
along.
wait, 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 wait. What research, what manual of instructions, non African American people, right? Because we have established that we all come from a black background, right? Non African American people, what research do we have to do in order for us to have a license to express what we think causes black dysfunction to the point that is costing black people their marriages in America? What type of research do you think, in your personal opinion, people like me have to do to have that license?
What is the root cause of it? What
Okay,
caused
what
it?
is, but what
Because no,
research? Where do I find that research?
well, you said like when you say 70, you said blackdemographics.com. It's also other websites where you can actually look up the stats, do the research in history, because what was going on
What
between the 70s and that, and but what happened in the black with the black families between the 70s, the 80s, going into the early
But I
90s.
don't
What
live in the
transpired?
70s and 80s. In the 70s and 80s, you were
Lord have
married
mercy.
at a 56%. That's what data says. Half of your communities in the 70s and 80s was married. Today is only 30%. That's what data
Why
said.
is that, Denise?
Again, the independently from what you might think, the reason, the root cause of the reason why black men and black women do not marry each other and not marry anyone else, because if that was the case, if the issue was the women like you guys claim, that is black women, then you will be married to something else, because those brothers exist. They are married to other women because they were not able to find a functional woman within their vicinity. So they were not the problem. It's very obvious because they made it work with someone else. Same happens with the black women that made it work with someone else. So those brothers and those sisters are married to something else. They were not dysfunctional. So the 70% of the community is dysfunctional because they are not married, not only black people, they're not married to anyone. So obviously they cannot get along with people, which is one of the
What?
basics concepts of society. Now,
So
before you
just because
answer
they're
that,
not
hold on,
married, that means
hold
they
on.
can't get along with anybody. So if
Exactly.
a person that's not
Exactly.
married, they're a dysfunctional person, because the
Of
majority
course.
of people in the United States, marriage rates are going down across the board with every community.
And how
So
is
I
it?
guess that means that everybody's dysfunctional because they haven't found a particular spouse to wed. That's
Exactly,
what you're saying based off of your perspective.
Rakim, 100%. How American culture has been passed down through society. And I don't want you to answer that now because I want to go to other guests. But the reason why the Americans continue to exist is because they form families, they reproduce, and the next generation is created. That's how it has always been. You cannot tell me that Your, like I said, your ancestry, if we trace it back to the cavemen that you stem from and I stem from, all of them reproduce all the way down to your existence. They cannot all be wrong and you're right. Okay, reproducing yourself is important. Mating and getting along with another human being is one of the most basic skills in human development. And when people
But
show, no,
Denise,
hold on,
no, I just
please, do
wanted to
not,
say, can I
no,
say
no, no,
this?
no, 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 we're not gonna
Den,
do this, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do this, right? That's one of the basic aspects of human nature, which is interacting with the opposite sex and establishing a relationship. That's very basic. That's the bare minimum. And when people are unable to do that, then we have a problem. We have a crisis. And if you want to call it different names or try to justify it with things that are not simple, or trying to do mental gymnastics to explain the simple thing, which is people are unable to get along with one another, then I cannot have an honest conversation with you. Now I'm gonna move to Jose, and then I want to
Denise,
hear
it
from.
takes
No, hold on,
money. It takes
Rakim. It doesn't take money to establish a heterosexual interaction. Now I want to move to Jose. Hey, Jose, how are you? Jose, I'm gonna mute you and I'm gonna move to Kevin. I'll come back to you in a second because there's like some weird noise in there. Hey Kevin, how are you?
Uh, Hello, Denise. I'm fine. Look, you have some good points, but doggone, uh, you, you you as a woman are literally missing, and you interpret or you actually don't understand the intricacies and nuances of black male and female relationships. Because if you did, and if Radical did, he would have never asked that question about why black women are picked the least. It just looks like he's just picking on black people. I'm not saying he's racist, but that's what it looks like. All right. And then this thing where you say, well, you're married and because you have better marriage rates. Okay, so that's fine and that's great. So you guys get to critique black people. And then you say stuff like, well, men are the leaders. Look, you can't tell me that men are the leaders and then say and then can't and then have women running around loose and then they don't have a leader. That's not how it works. So that this see it's like I understand this. I'm a black man who actually and oh by the way, I go back and forth to the United States on a regular basis. So this idea that I'm somehow disassociated from black people in America and everything else, that's just not true at all. Like you guys misinterpret. That's why I say you guys just sound so uninformed when you talk about black people. Like the reason black people don't really talk about Hispanics or Asians or other groups is that whatever you guys got going on, it's none of our damn business. It really isn't. And we have our own issues and problems that we need to work out. That's why we talk between each other. And in order for me to give real, honest truth and detail, I would have had to actually get up there and denigrate black women on another platform where there's a bunch of Hispanics. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. See, he's fucked up for asking that question. All right. Why are black women picked last? He knows why black women are picked last. He
But
should have
I
never asked
don't.
the
But I
question.
don't. But I don't
Okay.
know
Well,
that.
but since you don't know, and the thing is that
No, I'm
even
asking you.
does
Do I
does the
know that?
question? No, you don't. But the thing is that
But
even
he
if you actually
does. But he
no,
does.
well, he should because
No.
we all see what's going on.
Okay, but then
All
let me
right,
ask you a question. But let me ask you a question. Wait, hold on. Why is it that, because both me and Radical have a Latino indigenous mother and a black Latino father? We're both Latin people, mostly from the Caribbean, and we're living in the US. I was raised in Latin America, of course, and then I came here, but still we're Latino people. How is it that Radical knows the answer, but I don't when we come from the same background?
Do you live day to day and have you grown up with a black experience in America with the history, the culture, and everything else, and all the
No,
issues and
no,
problems that
I'm
we have to deal
asking
with?
you. Well,
That's why you don't know. I'm telling you the answer.
no, hold on. I live among black families, if that's what you're asking. My question is, why is it that Radical, that lives upstate New York in the suburbs, where you and me both know majority of black families don't reside, but how is it that Radical knows the answer and I don't? I want you to answer
Because
that
women
question.
all across the United States are doing the exact same thing that black women are doing, that Asian, Hispanic women are doing. It's just that women are doing it at a lesser rate. depending on the
No,
racial group. That's
no,
it.
again,
That's why stop, stop,
again.
stop. That's why women aren't getting
No,
picked
no,
for
you're not
managers.
gonna dictate, Kevin, with all due respect. Please do not try to dictate how I run my platform, because that's a little bit disrespectful. I understand that you're a male and I'm a woman, and I will not disrespect you publicly because that's not
Okay,
my
okay, we can do
place.
that. Okay,
But
all right,
please
you're right.
don't
You're
do that, okay?
all
Thank
right.
you. Now, my thing is, why is it, because that's the question, why is it that Radical knows the answer, but I don't?
Because he's a man.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear. Now I'm gonna move to the MBD. What's up, brother? Welcome to the platform.
Hey, what's going on, Denise?
Nothing much, nothing much. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's your
So
comment. Yeah, your community tab brought me over. I figured I'd
I
come
bet, I
chime in.
bet. So
Yeah.
what's your take on this conversation?
Well, as far as the last pick, I did a stream on it. Funny, I did a stream on it 2 days ago about black women, being last pick American black women, and it was
Mhm.
just due to Fresh and Fit did a podcast where they had to kick 5 black women off, and they just asked in the comment section, why are they, just a question on Twitter, why?
Mhm.
And the majority of the answers were simple: obesity
Mhm.
and masculinity.
Mhm.
It's at this point, it needs to be discussed and talked about all across America. It's not playing this whole, "Ooh, I'm part of the community. We gotta, not air out our dirty laundry." No, the problem is the dirty laundry is reproducing with the worst of the worst, and the product of that reproduction is out here tearing up the country.
Yeah.
You hate to say it, just call it young black males who are damn near feral or committing crimes at ridiculous rates.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, judges in these areas where they're committing crimes are just, letting them go, a cash bail, house arrest, until these crimes just spin out a place where, okay, now they're committing murder. Well, 4, 5, 6, 7, indictments ago, this could have been nipped in the bud. So yeah, we do need to look at this question of, single black females and, the case behind it. Kevin was right. Yeah, it's a red pill thing. They're overweight and obesity. Men don't want obese like masculine women. And then you throw in the other traits of that American black women stereotype by. Tell me they aren't true.
Yeah. No,
But
but let me ask you something.
mhm.
What do you think will happen? Because I agree. And like I said, I'm overweight myself, right? My husband loves me being this size, even though I'm the one that's pushing to get to a smaller size, right?
Mhm.
But however, I'm out of the equation, right? But
There you
let's
go.
just bring it back to overweight. What would you recommend to single young black males that do not desire BBWs or overweight women? Would you advise them to keep putting their penis in big things, or you think they should keep themselves with sexual discipline where they don't mess with this woman so they can get the message? What do you think will work more?
Well, I mean, I'm a guy. I've been a young dude. I've slummed before. I've been a homosexual in my 20s, and I understand. Dudes. We get thirsty out there, and the majority of women out there are larger than it was back in my day.
Hmm.
So yeah, but here's the thing where penis discipline comes into place, because I'm not. I never advocate for penis policing, but it bears responsibility. You as a, hey dude, you gotta understand. You go over here and stick your, what net, a child could pop out 9 months later, and
Hmm.
if you ain't gonna be, and if it's a boy, he's on his life. Okay, are you down? Are you gonna be able to sleep at night knowing the repercussions of your actions? So
Yeah.
it's all right. And here's the other problem. And I'll tell dudes this. This is what I'll tell dudes the most. Look, if you got an overweight woman who's in her early, late teens or early 20s, has 0 kids, like all y'all women out there that put some pounds on after having 3 or 4 kids, salute. That's natural. But
Hmm.
if there's a woman who no kids, nothing, and she's just big for no particular reason other than she can't control what goes in her mouth,
Hmm.
if you stick your penis in that, okay, you got a kid that could potentially come out ADHD, mentally retarded, under the LD scale. That's the taking your risk with, because obesity, oh, visceral fat increases the chance of birth defects.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I mean, it is what it is. Versus just, all right, just go get a healthy woman. It doesn't matter what her skin color is. Just go
Yeah.
get a healthy woman who vibes with you.
Yeah. So now that because I consider you to be one of the most balanced that I've had here on my platform, right? Like people from your group. Even though I know you don't believe necessarily on that, you believe your community is the people that live around you, right? But let's entertain me for this, right? Let's say that we have a concept of Black community, even though we know that it's a
Yeah.
dying concept, right? But let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, we have a crisis when it comes to the Black community.
Yeah, it is. The experiment, like I said in your comments, it's a social construct. It was a cool experiment, that United States tried and it failed. It didn't work. You can't get men and women to link up with each other based on racial ideology.
Mhm.
Idolatry. It just doesn't work. There is no Blackistan or Negro stand or common language for them to revolve around, such as Dominican or Uruguayan or even German or Ugandan.
Yeah.
That's that central culture that we can always go back to. And it's pumped in so many Black folks' brains that Black versus American. So
Yeah.
at that point, that worship of the skin tone is detrimental. And you have a group of women that, woke up and realized, why should I be with a man just solely based on his skin color? What can this dude do for me? And they're realizing that these men that are still sticking around aren't men because they've been raised by their aunts, their grandmas. So the
Mhm.
masculinity is kind of, iffy. So my only recommendation is that, all right, hey, fellas, go elsewhere, leave, just let it, slowly just die off.
Yeah.
These young brothers out, all the sisters, hey, go get with a white boy, shoot, go get with an Indian dude, Asian dude.
Yeah, yeah, I
They
agree.
thirsty
That
on
I
attention.
believe the
But
same
then,
thing. I think that you should go
can I ask
where
that?
I believe you should go where you can find what you need, right? It's like you have a job opening and like people are bringing you their resumes and you will pick the one that fits what you're looking for the most, right? Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Yeah. So
yeah,
like I believe that whole concept, and I say that because I'm in an inter or multicultural marriage myself, and I've gotten a lot of criticism, and my husband too, for him daring to marry a Puerto Rican and for me daring to step out of the Latin culture. So I'm gonna
yeah. I was gonna
move.
say one thing. Can I just respond one thing to that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, my wife's Dominican, and I've never received zero issues when we got together. But when I married my ex-wife, sister girl from VA, along with me, man, I caught all kinds of hell. People like, "Nick, excuse me, bro, is you stupid? What is you doing? You making the wrong choice." Thankfully, three beautiful kids later, but still, it was a horrible choice. But my mother, she warned me against it. My mom Jamaican, and it was the weirdest thing, growing up. Once I
Mhm.
got to that age, she was like, what last thing you ever do is marry a Jamaican woman. I'm like, what? Huh? She's like, trust me, do not do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand because I don't necessarily want my son to marry a Puerto Rican woman because I know in the future we're gonna be even worse than we are today. So like I'm like go somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. My mom just saw the writing on the wall with her own culture. And that's why, she did
You
it.
got to be realistic with your own stuff, like I
Yeah.
think that there is some certain amount of respect that people get when we're able to call ourselves out, right, for our own stuff. And I think that is a lost value that needs to come back. I'm gonna put you on hold for a little bit. I'm gonna go to Robert Lee. Hey Robert, ¿cómo estás?
Hey,
How are
Denise,
you?
can I just add to what he was just saying really
Yeah,
quickly?
give me 1 second, Rakim. I'm gonna give Robert 5 minutes to assess his point, and then I'll let people interact with one another, right? Go ahead, Robert.
I was listening to everything you guys have been saying. I've been a teacher, so I've worked in the inner city. Now I
Hmm.
work in the criminal justice department, and so I've seen both sides of this thing, as you guys were talking about earlier. Excuse me. And it's true. A lot of these young black males are running amok. It's pretty wild. I mean, part of my job now is when these guys get arrested, I have to interview them and collect all their information and send it to the court so the court can determine if they get bail or not. And
Wow.
constantly meeting all these young black males under the age of 30, some over the age of 30. Hey, are you employed? No. When's the last time you had a job? 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Where do you live? My mom, my aunt, you know. Okay, do you have a driver's license? No. And it's like, I mean, it's like demoralizing watching black male after black, I mean, black male after black male just, come up to me like, I don't have this, I don't have that. And it's just like, how many kids you got? I got five. Do you pay child support? No. And then, as
Wow.
again, on the other side, when I was a teacher, it's like, it's an endless cycle. I would meet the women. I'd see the women, as a teacher. And it's just like, no man, you see how the kids behave because there's no father. The mother's reckless. The mother's wild. So now again, you know, excuse me, I'm not quote unquote black African American. So, one would say, well, you're disqualified from talking about black issues, but it's like, I'm seeing it firsthand, as a teacher now working in the criminal justice department. So, I mean, that's kind of like my take on that. I'll add
Yeah.
more later.
Yeah,
So
it's funny to me that, because I have addressed the whole black on black crime, because I think it's one of the most disgusting things that a black person can do to another black person, right? Because I think black people all around the globe have fought very hard to keep their likeness alive, like, it's, even though people don't appreciate that, but like, it's very curious to me as to why, just like people say like, oh, the Asian race, must remain pure and prevail and whatever, and it's very curious how people are born with, like, white eyes and, specifically black hair that's very straight, and it's very funny and it's super cute. The same thing happens with white people, and black people, for example, like, their skin is more melanated, it's darker, their lips are fuller, they have better bodies, they are more durable under the sun, their hair comes out with a specific texture that's very cute. And I don't see why it's so, like, crazy to me how people think that it's not important to preserve the existence of a multi diverse racial, globe. So, like, when you see people killing each other that are of a specific race, and you're killing someone that looks like you, that should be a red flag of a major problem. But then if you point it out in America, you get called racist. You get called all kinds of names because you're not supposed to address issues that of people that, because you're not the right black tone. Like, for example, like I said, I have a black father. My dad is 100% black. However, because he was born in the wrong location, many people would say, oh, he's not black, or like, I'm not black because he happened to mate with a lighter woman that was half indigenous, half white, and, well, I mean, half indigenous, 20% white, 20% black, 25% black. So, of course, now, unfortunately, I'm not the right shade of black in order for me to speak on issues, because have I asked I've asked some of the, people in the panel, like Rakim and Kevin, which is the two people that claim that I'm not supposed, or I'm not qualified to speak on black issues, what type of research am I supposed to do? And they always point back to the guilt, which is you're not knowledgeable enough of slavery, Jim Crow, whatever the hell happened in the past, in the 70s, 80s, 60s, 50s, 1800s, 1400s, 1600s with people. So, like, it's a never ending, or like a always losing battle with, like a conglomerate of strawman arguments in order to make you look bad, but then, make them untouchable to a degree. And I think we need to keep poking at the issue until people become more comfortable with calling themselves out and expecting more out of themselves. I think the ultimate racism towards black people is done by black people rather than non-black people. Now I'm gonna let Jose go because he just told me to let him go. Jose, are you still there?
Okay, well, first of all, good morning, everybody.
Good
I'm going to try to
morning.
I'm going to try to keep this. I'm going to try to keep this concise and short to the point. It's just I have to step away because I actually working overtime tonight.
Mhm.
First of all, when it comes to the issue with rating other people's wives, I have a huge problem with that as well because that's like a certain no no. Okay, and in fact, if you notice, Denise, I
Mhm.
would never refer to any female as sweetie, honey, or whatever, other than my lady. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the ladies that I feel very close to and I have a deep affection, I would refer to as my sister or my daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
Because for me, for me, it's kind of like I'm committing incest, if you understand my point of view. Okay. Now, when it comes to the issue regarding, why black women are the least picked and all these other issues, I mean, there are multiple reasons. Some of it's because of their own actions. Now, what I find it very odd that since part of our culture comes from Africa, that we're told we have no right to discuss, you know, if there's issues within the African American community. I mean, we need to speak the truth, okay? Speak the truth out of love, but we need to speak the truth. And then unfortunately, there are some issues in the African American community. My thing is, okay, fine. Let's see what we can do to try to come up with solutions, okay? Because I'm sorry, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about stuff that happened 400 or 500 years ago, okay? Okay, it's affected what people are today. What can we do to overkeep? And just to the other point, as far as why people don't own homes, okay? Now it took me, I took now I learned it took me a long time, but I became a homeowner, okay? And I took advantage of the resources that was available to become a homeowner. So therefore, if I can do it in a society that's racist from the beginning, okay, then there's no excuse for anyone who wants to become a homeowner if they decide to put in the effort. And I know people are going to disagree with me, but that's my point of view. And one more thing, at times we have to take a look at ourselves and be able to accept constructive criticism. I had to take constructive criticism from you when it comes to baby boomers. It was a hard pill for me to swallow, but
I
I had to
remember.
swallow
I
it.
remember.
No, but I had to swallow it. Okay, part of it is I have to go through therapy to do it. But the
A
fact
lot
of
of
the
us
matter,
have to, because look at the millennial generation. Like we are like very fragile, and I it took me a while to understand that. So like we all have to be humble enough to like
yeah.
admit like our
So
flaws. Keep going.
so and at times I have to admit I was wrong. Okay, and I have to admit I was wrong to you. Okay, I may not like
Mhm.
what you said in the beginning, but when actually be able to sit down and analyze it, I mean, you wasn't saying what you're saying out of malice. You were saying it because of, to be truthful. Okay, and the
Yeah.
fact that when it comes to baby boomers, I'm sorry. In some areas, we screwed up.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move to like I know Rakim wanted to say something for a while now. So Rakim, you wanted to ask someone a question?
Yeah, I'm gonna just make this. I'm gonna just address this really quickly. First and foremost, a lot of the things that I've heard said on here, in my personal opinion, I don't think a lot of people, honestly, when people make these criticisms, not saying you in particular, Denise, but I know for a fact that a lot of people is not coming from the genuine place where they really care about black people. I know that for a fact. Like as far as what's going on in the inner cities, yes, it's absolutely a problem. I come from the inner cities. This is something that I grew up seeing. I know a lot of the backgrounds that's coming with these young men and what they're dealing with. I know exactly what's going on. So what Trey NBD was saying as far as why don't these women go after Asian, white, and other men? It's only one problem, Trey. A lot of these people are anti-black. Whether people chose to ignore that or play like it doesn't happen or anything like that, a lot of the cases people want to stay within their culture, and people have a negative view of blackness. It don't matter whether a person is Caribbean, Jamaican, African, anything like that. As far as what's going on in the inner cities and everything, this problem didn't just start overnight. The same problems that's going on, black people didn't come to a conclusion between the cities of Detroit, Baltimore, Brooklyn, New York, Chicago, Illinois, Gary, Indiana, and St. Louis and just say, hey, we're going to start killing each other and we're going to start terrorizing the community. When we talk about racism, racism is done on the intricate level of laws and policies and different dynamics that have affected the wealth of black people within this country that has hindered black people from competing on the level with other communities. But it's so much disingenuous statements that's being made, and most people just don't care. So I just wish people would be honest and just say that. Most people just don't care because I've been explaining and going down the line on what's going on with the community due to the fact that I'm from there and I know exactly what's going on, and I actually do care. I've mentored children. I know the intricacies and the problems that's affecting my community. But a lot of these people want to point the finger at this with this air of morality without even fully understanding, don't even care to understand. What do people think that the black community just started in 1979? Just we just started like people just said, okay, stop. Now they all equal. It didn't go that way.
But
But that's
Rakim,
all I'm gonna say.
this is my problem with old issues, because we're still, I think the message is not getting through a little bit, because I just said like that's the guilt part of the sign language when it comes to when we talk about the black community. Like
Okay,
it's like
if
we
I'm
have all
saying
this. No, hold on. We have all this emotional scar tissue from the past, so that you should not add your criticism to it, out of compassion and whatever. And yes, there are certain aspects like I could go harder. I'm very harsh. I go very harsh at Latino people. You've seen it.
no, what I'm saying, Denise,
So no, hold
if
on, hold on. I choose not to do that with other people that I'm not part of their community or their nationality or whatever you might say. But that does not mean that we cannot do that, because this is my thing with the whole old problem situation. I have two points to make. First of all, no one is alive today that was born in slavery. Absolutely no one. So that point specifically as to inspire compassion needs to be put to the side. Okay, it needs
Denise,
to be. No,
Denise,
hold on,
we're not
Rakim, hold
looking for
on,
anybody's
Rakim.
compassion.
I don't
We're the
wanna, I
only
don't
ones
wanna
that
have
fought
to,
for
I don't wanna
anything
have
that
to
we've
put
had.
you. Okay, I'm gonna have to mute you for a minute because, like I said, we're not gonna overtalk each other, right? So we need to put the slavery aspect in a folder and put that folder, right, back into the library. It doesn't mean that it's not important. It's important to know that that's how the country was created, and that's something that happened in the past, and that's something that Black people overcame, and were resilient enough to survive that. That is fine. But that should not be a point to be made when it comes to the lack of achievements in social, political, or even financial aspects for Black people of today. Okay, so like, because no one here was born a slave, so you don't have that emotional scar tissue.
Denise,
I am sorry, I
Denise,
cannot
I'm
give
not
you.
talking even about slavery. You
Rakim,
can just fast forward.
Rakim, please. This is the second warning. I don't want to have to put you in the backstage for a minute. Please let me finish my point. So we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to use that, like I said, as a reference. We're going to put that on the back on the bookshelf. Okay. Now, when it comes to Jim Crow, I will give up to baby boomer generation, which were the ones that were born into that, to talk about how they're emotionally scared. I mean, emotionally scarred by Jim Crow laws because they lived through that. You didn't. Gen X did not. Like it was only baby boomers and generations before them that actually lived through that. And if we go by numbers, during Jim Crow eras, there was more financial stability within Black people that were living in segregation, and they were even better at getting along with each other and better at marriages and better at many other things and starting businesses and more capable of doing other things than they are today. And they committed less crime. Let's just keep it real, right? So that did not necessarily brought only bad things. So now, what affected the modern Black person? Well, I would say the crack era might have emotional scar tissue on modern Black people. the mass incarceration, of course, and well, the redlining that's never going away because it's still happening, poor education, and bank discrimination. That those are the only things, right, that I can say that are affecting modern Black people or modern non-white people, right?
Uh,
So somebody wanted to say something real quick.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
have,
would just disagree. I just respond to Rakim what he says to me. I got to switch to my phone
Oh,
soon.
okay, go
But
ahead.
um, when he said that, men, aren't desiring black women due to racism, no, man, just straight red pill. Like I said, it's just possibly that men just don't want fat masculine women. Like men around the world, have come together and formed this thing called the manosphere, and in unison basically say they want an agreeable woman, who looks nice and is a little friendly. And unfortunately, uh, the stereotype is real when it comes to the AB dub. So I mean, it is what it is. But
let,
black people problems are, man, those who that stick to that monolithic type of way of thinking are brought on themselves, bro. I mean, this stuff has been played out for years, and unfortunately, is that the majority of Americans are sick and tired of it. They're tired of the whining. They're tired of complaining. They watch BLM, freaking fleece the whole country, and they're watching just criminal upon criminal, just horrendous stuff go on. And at the same time, all this handout big, give me this for something that happened 160 years ago. I have nothing connected to. Like, no, man, nobody. When everybody else
okay,
out here is struggling, nobody wants to hear that, bro.
okay.
And not
I'm gonna
only, and
address
not
Nobody.
that
only,
really quick.
hold
Let me
on,
let me
hold on,
address that
hold
really
on,
quick.
Rakim, hold on. So that stems back to exactly, what I was saying. Like, given the fact that there's limited emotional scar tissue on modern Black folks when it comes to the issues that they bring up in order for us to care. Let me do something completely drastic, right? I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here for what Trey just said, right? I'm gonna say that I'm gonna grant you all of that emotional scar tissue from the minute that your ancestor was placed on that boat and brought to the Atlantic to be sold as a slave. I'm gonna grant you all of that emotional scar tissue on the mere basis that has been passed down and you have not catch a break throughout generations in order for you to assess your mental health and live in peace. And that will bring me to a specific point of Black people's responsibility. If you're emotionally scarred, which I am not taking away from you, right? I disagree a little bit with Trey on that one, right? But let's just keep it real. If you are that emotionally scarred, why is it that Black folks attend therapy the least? Because when you're emotionally scarred so much, you need to assess therapy.
But
Why
a lot
is
of
it
people
that
cannot
why
afford it, Denise.
no, that's a lie, because the majority, the people that cannot afford to go to therapy, that means that they're below the poverty level. That means that the government has health coverage upon them, and that is covered by health insurance. There's no excuse as to why you're not taking care of your mental health. Okay, when I was having issues with my mental health, my husband took $1,000 something and paid for therapy sessions for me to get my mind right, and it helped. It was very beneficial for me. So I'm not speaking of stuff that I have not done myself, and he's not particularly rich. So, and he happens to be African American. He took therapy himself, and it wasn't covered by insurance because our therapist doesn't take insurance. He had to take the money out of his own pay. So he, like I said, he's not particularly rich. He just thought, well, I'm responsible for my mental health. So when are Black folks going to assume responsibility of their mental health? Like, why, if they're so scarred, why is it that there's a rebuttal to go to therapy?
Well, first and foremost, if you've been paying attention to these to the Black community, people have been advocating for people taking care of their mental health for God knows how. How long? If you've been paying any attention to what's been going on, which I highly doubt you have, but people have been advocating
Based on what you
for,
doubt that I have, based on what?
because the question that you asking me.
The
That's
question that
why.
I ask you, oh, so you think that I have not paid attention to the fact that people say I'm going to advocate for people to go to therapy, but not sit my Black ass on therapy myself?
Okay, Denise, getting a
Okay,
little bit,
because that's what
So
I'm hearing. I'm hearing
slick,
we
too
advocate
slick.
for people to go to therapy, but not for myself to go sit
The
myself at
people that are
therapy.
advocating are the ones that has went through therapy to deal with their family trauma. But first and foremost, I wanted to address something really quickly because everybody seems to be tone deaf when it comes to this. First off, black people are not looking for no compassion against anybody. We fought for everything that we have. We had to fight and take it. Okay, nothing was given to us in this country. And we don't need nobody's help because we've been standing on our own for a very long time. Because if anybody can help us, they'll be helping themselves first. Most people can't help themselves. And for the energy that people are giving, saying there's no compassion, okay, that's fine. We're not looking for any compassion. But when you get met with aggressive energy and you get met with 100 Tariq Nasheed, don't complain about it. And I don't, we, people, oh, we're sick of hearing about this. Well, we got to hear about people coming here because, oh, our government's destabilizing this country and that country. Pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. That's what everybody's telling us, right? So everybody should be able to follow by their own advice and do the same thing. So what Trey was saying, first and foremost, if anybody's been paying attention to the economy is plummeting. So what Jose was saying, nobody it's becoming extremely difficult for millennials to even purchase a home these days. The way
hey,
the way that the
you're
way
breaking
that
up a little
mortgages
bit.
are skyrocketing.
But
Hey,
nobody's
hey,
gonna
Rakim,
cry for a
you're breaking
Yeah,
man,
up.
bro.
can anybody hear me?
Rakim, you're breaking up a
Bro,
little bit.
nobody
Yeah, we
cares
can
about a
hear
man
you.
Yeah,
crying
no,
about
I
them,
get
We're
all
not
bro.
that.
looking for you to cry for. Yeah,
So,
Nobody
so,
cares,
so,
bro.
Excuse me
hey,
if
Trey,
I can
I get all
just
that. So, one of the
yeah,
issues that
yeah.
black people
Hello,
have with non-black people talking
hello.
about black issues is that you guys aren't really trying to solve anything or help black people solve anything anyway. It's just a
Because
bunch of criticism and that's it.
why should
That's
they
all it really
care,
is.
Kevin? See,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they shouldn't
can you
care.
guys hear me?
Well, they care enough
Can,
to
Hold
talk
on,
about it.
hold
They care
wait,
on.
enough
let
to
me
talk
finish
about it.
really
Hold
quickly.
on, Kevin.
Can I finish
Rakim
really
was
quickly? Can I
talking.
finish
Yeah,
really
go
quick?
ahead, Rakim. Go
Um,
ahead.
First and foremost, I don't care that don't nobody care, but people seem to really be focused on our issues for people that don't care. People tend to want to be involved in our culture for so much for people that don't care. Right now, it is a rise in white supremacist groups right now. Why? Because people that they feel like they're losing power in this country. If this country wasn't so bigoted and everybody just was so together based off of the conservative perspective, then there wouldn't be a need for people to feel like they have to participate in these type of organizations because they feel like that white people are losing power right now in this
well,
But
country.
maybe,
We saw
but
well,
one
maybe
but
it's the
let me
black kids
but
committing crimes, bro.
hold on,
the
Trey.
black
Hold
kids
on.
commit the black kids
Rakim.
committing crimes for the
Rakim.
ones that don't even live around them or no or
Rakim.
don't live anywhere near the inner cities. That's BS.
Rakim. Has it ever occurred? Because this is the thing. It's like it seems like we're adopting just one opinion based on my defensive views as a black person in America. But has it ever occurred to you? Like, do you guys think? I want people in the chat also to interact with us.
Denise, let's keep it
Do
real.
you
Most
got
people are
hold
full of
on,
shit.
hold
They don't care.
Rakim again? I'm gonna give you this is the last warning. Next time you overtalk me, I will put you backstage. Okay, calm down. Like I said, I'm gonna go over time. This is gonna be long. You're gonna have your chance to express yourself. I'm not gonna just keep you there quiet. So, has it ever occurred to you that the American government has the power to kill every single African American person in this country? Like, if tomorrow Joe Biden says, "I want every African American to be killed," that power exists. Okay, why society is asking from black Americans that are not pulling their weight, and mind you, I'm saying the ones that are not pulling their weight, not all of them, right? Because people tend to get very offended about this, right? What is being asked is people are asking the black people that are not pulling their weight to actually start contributing to the coffers of the country on with their image, with their cooperation, and with the respect for human life. I don't understand
You know what?
why
I'm gonna get
people
ready to exit off. No, I'm gonna get
hold
ready
on.
to exit off.
Okay, I can. I'm sorry. I gave you several opportunities to not overtalk me. Like I said it many times. I don't like to be overtalked. This is my show, my platform. Let's try to respect it, please. Um. So
ex-
again, if
excuse me.
people give me
Sorry.
one second, Jose. So if the country has that power and people can actually just say we're gonna open fire on all black people on March 22nd, you know, uh that's literally something that can happen, but people are choosing to ask you to be better instead. I will argue that people that are asking you to be better and giving you options and solutions actually do care, because the other option could be, hey, these people cannot be reasoned with, let's just take them out. You know,
So
that could be also a solution. I think a lot of people that believe in this, like the brother Trey and Pablo Frescobar said, the community don't understand, like the pro wax that I always call, do not understand that that also can be something that can happen, you
I have
know.
some questions for you, Denise. I have some questions
Go
for you if
ahead.
you're willing to answer some questions. So if, if if you say black men are the leaders and a woman doesn't have a husband, who's the leader?
Her father or her uncle or her
Okay,
grandfather or her brothers.
I can agree with that. Okay, so all right, so what if she's an adult? She's not under her father's supervision, and her brother it's not. She's not under her father, brother, or any other male person in the family's direct supervision. Who's the leader then?
The pastor.
Who?
The pastor of the church she
Okay,
assists.
so if she doesn't have a pastor, then who's the leader?
Whatever male is in her life, her
What
boss.
if there's no male in her life telling her what to
that
do? Who's
is
the
that
leader?
is how, okay, what percentage of black women are in real life, right? Let's be realistic, that have no uncles, no grandpas, no pastors, no brothers, no uncles, no father.
It doesn't matter if those guys are
What
there if
no
she's
what
not listening.
percentage what percentage of black women
I have
do
no
not
idea,
have those males
I have no
in
idea,
her
but I will tell you this:
family?
I can't give you a
It's
percentage, but
zero.
what I'm asking you
It's
is this: is
zero.
that if all these women have leaders and they're listening to black men, then and I'm sure that if you have a father, even whether you live in his house or not, because I have daughters and they don't live in my house, but they still listen to me as far as me giving them good solid life advice. Same thing with my sons. Well, actually, all my kids are adults now, but my whole point is that same thing with brothers, uncles, pastors, and etc. If those women don't listen, who's the leader? Because my thing is that y'all keep saying black men are the leaders, but when I look around, women are doing what the hell they want to do. All right, but y'all keep whatever reason it gets put on
Y'all
black
don't
men, and
include
then
me on that, because I follow
no
the
no
leadership of my husband.
okay, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So you have a husband, so you're responsible to him, and he's actually responsible for your protection, provisioning, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
I'm his liability,
He's doing
yes.
he's doing all the stuff he's supposed to do. So women are supposed to have a husband in order to actually counteract all of that. So that way you don't have to go outside to your brother or a father that you don't live with anymore, or even a pastor. You're supposed to have a husband. So I look at it like your husband is your primary, leader. So if they don't have that, and you got a bunch of women who don't have that, then and they're out here doing whatever it is they want to do, for whatever reason it just doesn't make sense to me to default and say the men are the leaders when they don't. When you got a bunch of women who don't even have husbands in the first place. Like it doesn't
Okay,
make sense to me.
why women have no husbands in your community, Kevin?
Because they either didn't want to get married or they don't qualify for a husband.
Okay,
There's women who openly say they don't want to get married
and why they don't qualify for a husband?
because they have issues and problems that men don't want to deal with, whatever those
Like
issues and problems
what?
are.
Like what?
They already probably have kids that they have with
Hmm.
some other dude, or they are, they have a bunch of debt, or they have toxic behavior, or they're promiscuous, or they're just like, it's whatever it is. The men who probably are good husbands and fathers that look at that and go, you know what, I don't want that in my life. They're not going to sit there and argue and fuss and fight and try to change a woman and fix that behavior. This is going to disengage. Let me
Hmm.
ask you this though, because you say you're really interested in because this is the criticism that you get when people say, well, you don't really know enough about black men or even the black community as a collective. What percent of black men do you think are baby daddies right now that have kids out of wedlock
Baby
right now?
daddies, which is like the ones that have kids out of wedlock,
Yeah.
16%.
Okay.
16%. Well,
So
we know
what?
based on data, right?
Okay. So what? Okay. So yeah. So if it's about 16%, now what percent of black women have kids out of wedlock?
83% based on
Okay.
data.
So don't you see so don't you see the about something that's off balance right there off the
No,
numbers alone?
I see a lot of a balance. My question is,
What's the
why,
balance?
no, hold on. Why do you think women in your collective think they have a license to have unprotected sex with males before they marry? Why do you think they think that that is okay?
Because that's what they want to do.
No. Why do you think they think that that is okay?
It doesn't matter whether I think
No,
that
I
it's
want I
okay
want the
or what
answer to that
what I
question.
or
I
it
want the
doesn't matter
answer to, please, I want the answer to that
because
question.
well
Why do
that
you
is the answer
think why do
because
you
that's what they want
think
to do. It doesn't matter
what
whether they think it's okay or
no
not.
no 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 why do you think that that is something okay to do?
Because if I'm being honest about this, and I would say, look, there's women that feel like, okay, so if I have this baby out of wedlock, then there's somebody that's going to cover down for me anyway, no matter how many mistakes I make.
Come
Knowing that they
again?
shouldn't do it, they're going to cover down and actually take care of the problem anyway, no matter how many mistakes they make with it.
Okay,
Because
and why you
because you remember,
think
go ahead.
and what no hold on. And because I have a series of questions, right? Because I don't know enough according to you and Rakim. So my question is, why do you think women in your collective are so oblivious as to the fact that they won't get the results they claim they want if they have a child, but still do it? Why do you think they're so lost?
Here, if I could take a shot
Yeah,
at answering that.
Give me. Oh, then go ahead, Fresh Alarm.
So,
yeah, go ahead. But I just think they don't care.
what
But go
is
ahead.
what happened in this country is this: a lot of the women decided, right, and this was a decision. This was not an accident. They
Mm-hmm.
decided that it was better, easier, less work to be a single mother, more freedom than to have a husband and a family, right? So I can extract more resources using the arm of the state. I can extract more resources and still have freedom without having to care for, clean up behind, work with, compromise with a man.
Okay, I understand that. I understand that aspect, and I give you 100% of true. I believe the same thing. My questions are directed more at what's the solution. So, who granted women that at some point did not even have the power to open a bank account? Like, who granted, hold on, who granted women, who came up with the idea of granting women all of these rights to the point that I have more rights than you in a country that your ancestors, your grandfathers, and your great grandfathers built for women like me?
Well, what the government of the nation did it.
Okay,
That's the
so my question is,
democracy did it.
if the government granted women those rights and the government was males, right? Uh, who can take those rights away?
Well, here's the thing: they
No,
can't.
no, but let's just answer that question, please. Who can take,
Easy,
who has the power to take those rights away?
easy government. Repeal the 19th and
No,
cut off all the handouts.
but who in government? Because
The
if
voters,
males,
the voters.
Yeah.
if males said, let's just be good men and cover women this way so that they can have a fair shot to capitalism, which is the reason why this was allowed, make no mistake.
Well,
Um,
it might be that they wanted a
no,
bigger
that
taxpayer base.
Yeah, of course. That's the and that's what folks don't understand. If America, like if you want traditional values, you're gonna have to go to the Middle East because American culture is capitalism. We all come
Let
here
me let
to
me ask you a
get
question.
out. But hold on. I'll let you ask me in a second, please. So my question is, who can take those liberties away if we're males who granted that to us? Like, who's responsible for saying, hey, we give you this, you did too much with it, now we got to reel it back? Who has the power to do that?
Well, if you want to keep it a buck, a husband or a father will. I
No,
mean,
but
it is
like,
what it is.
but it wasn't husband and fathers who gave us these rights. Like, who has the power today to say, hey, we're going to come to a consensus legally, politically, and socially to take those rights away?
Well, only the
Nobody.
people, only the voters can
Yeah, that's
now
it.
take it away.
Okay, exactly. So if we come to the concept of voters, why are not men voting for more traditional or conservative politicians? Like why
Well,
is it that
men
the
are
same but why is it
men
that
are
we have
Men
by
are
no,
men,
far.
there's
men
there
vote more
there are
conservatively
certain
than women.
males, but if I pull right now the block of black males voting Democrat, which we know is like literally like a clown party, like 80% of black males vote for that clown party. So and the reason when we bring this up, what I have met with from black males that believe and pander to the concept of victimhood is that they vote for the Democratic Party because they are forced by the women in their family, as if they don't have any political responsibility. Like, so like I said, if you don't like what you see, it's time to start moving intentionally, don't you think?
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. There's no reason for black men to vote Democrat at all. I'm not saying Republicans or anybody else are the answer, but damn it, the Democrats are not. Absolutely
like
not.
like for example, we saw, like, because even on that stream I said it like a few times. I think like the first argument that I made was the reason why they're not black women are not being picked as much on dating apps is because they want to wear the 304 uniform and carry it with themselves. So even if they're not of
They
that
want to what?
culture,
What'd you say?
hold on, they want to
What'd you
wear
say?
the 304 uniform. So like even if they're not necessarily living the lifestyle, if you look the part, you're going to be judged the part. But going back to like the whole political responsibility, I've said it many times, I believe men are being more emotionally abused in relationships today than women are. But men are not suing, men are not pressing charges. And do you think that that behavior will increase or decrease if men do not move to eradicate it?
Look,
I do not
here's what I'm
believe
saying.
men can eradicate it, and here's why. In a representative democracy, women outnumber men. It'll never be removed because
You have
the politicians' goals are to stay in office.
yeah,
Their
you
goal
have
is
to
to
do it
stay
on
in
an
office.
individual. Oh, my bad, Pablo.
Their goal is not to, support this or that. Their goal is to stay in office, and where the votes are is where they will go. And women
So so
have votes. Second, they are most of the consumers, spenders. So they're not going to do anything that would prevent those women from spending liberally.
So let
So
me ask
that's
you
going.
let me ask you a question. So if because this is the problem that I have, right? I find very cringy, and probably it's because I come from a different culture where males took 100% of the responsibility of the stuff that was happening around them, right? Uh so it's very cringe worthy to me to see that I have to deal with grown males blaming an invisible Uncle Sam for their problems or women for their problems, right? So my take on this is, if the country is not working in your favor, and I've asked many people this, if the country is not working in your favor, if laws are not helping you out and you're unable to find a wife because of all these regulations that the country has, and you're unable to have a family and you're unhappy and you cannot purchase land, and then why stay in the United States? Because when a country doesn't serve you, like, you're supposed to just go to one that will, right?
Well,
You're preaching to the choir with me. That's
well,
my whole
well,
channel. That's my whole reason for being on YouTube. Is that
well,
message you just said?
I
So
mean,
Trey,
Right.
for this one, I can't
yeah,
because I'm already in agreement with you.
yeah,
Hey,
I'm
Pablo, can
Okay.
I
almost
ask you
the
a question
exact
about that though?
opposite. Real quick, Kev, I'm almost the exact opposite of Pablo, except that difference is, yeah, I believe in traveling, go find your wife, but I'm of the ilk, that the government doesn't owe you anything. The government, is set up like a game of Monopoly, basically, and how you
Mhm.
play it is how you win. You play the game right. You play the capitalist game right. You take personal accountability 100%, as you described, Denise. Yeah, it will
Mhm.
be no problem for you to find a wife here. I mean, the thing here is that, yeah, it'll be more difficult, but
Mhm.
Once you find her, you got to do what you got did to get her to keep her. Meaning that you're gonna have to keep your proverbial foot on her neck, basically, and that's a hard thing to do with feminism and everything in the United States. Is which is why I'm
Mhm.
down with Pablo. Go find her somewhere else. But I have no issue with guys bringing them back. It's just that you know if you bring your wife back, you can't allow her around lefty communism culture. You gotta,
I
hey, if
agree
you
with
gotta
what you
keep her
just said, bro.
secluded, yeah, you got to keep her
Yeah,
secluded. Move to South Dakota or something. Because the minute she gets corrupted by this culture, which we described, and those laws can actually affect you, you're going to have to cut her loose. Because if you don't cut her loose, those laws are now going to reach in and touch you and everything you built.
But
yeah,
that, but
I
that
agree
is
with
that
that.
is
Yeah,
something that is something that's a little bit like, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted on that because I was introduced to like red pill culture by my husband when we were just engaged, right? And I never had an issue, and I'm still around like all types of people from different walks of life. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want it to start a platform. It was my husband that encouraged me because of my background on radio. So like I said, I'm like, I don't necessarily think, and I don't come from one of the most conservative Latin countries, right? Puerto Rico is notorious for also liberalism of women and the feminist outcries and protesting naked to be able to kill your babies, right? So I don't come from one of the most conservative places, but at the same time, like I think it all comes down to character rather than what you're around. It's like I think it's like, and I'm speaking from my experience, right? Because like I said, I've been around all types of situations, and it's a matter of choice, a matter of my character. So if you're picking women with the right character, no matter where they're from, they won't be easily influenced by buffoonery, right?
yeah, I can agree with that. Now, what's to stop the women who don't have good character from creating babies all over the place? Because that's one thing that's happening. So, who's stopping them?
Well, the issue that I wanted to
With by the way,
bring,
with men who are
the
irresponsible.
issue that I wanted to bring is there is a degree of responsibility, Kevin, even though you believe that there's not, right? Because every single black male from your generation and the generation before you, which is baby boomer, knows either a cousin, a brother, or a friend that either abandoned their kids or sold drugs or were incarcerated. And none of you guys en masse call out those people to be fathers to their kids. And we know, based on human studies that have been done by scholars like Jordan Peterson, for example, when he explains very lengthily that prostitutes or promiscuous women and feminine men are created because of fatherlessness. So
So,
I
so, so,
wonder, now hold on. When I asked you that set of questions before as to why these women believe it's okay to be sexually irresponsible or to be promiscuous or to have children out of wedlock, or to offer their body to whoever smiles at them, I ask you because is the father the ones that, or even the male in your family, whatever patriarch that is, even your older brother can function as that person if you don't happen to have anybody else. It's the males in your family that are responsible for regulating the women. So when we individually start putting that message out, you might not have to do it at this point because I think it's too late for your generation. I think it's better for your generation to just take the L and accept it publicly. Hey, we did this wrong, but younger generations need to call out this stuff, right? And do it this way. It's better to just start, instead of pandering for men to stay angry and jaded towards women, it's time for them, in order to save what's left of the American culture, right? It's better for them to start being responsible 100% for women's sexual behavior. And also you do like a tandem effect with that by instructing the males, the young males, to not put your penis on big things, not put your penis on women with children, to not put your penis in women that are sexually promiscuous, you're not ramping up their body count. You're teaching baby mamas consequence because they will lose all access to male attention. And on top of that, you're telling fat women you're not going to get any attention. So you better eat a salad with no dessert, like Kanye West said on his song, and start working out.
You think
But
that's
if
not
you
happening
don't teach,
now?
if you don't teach women consequences, right, by male's action, we're never, like I stated before in many streams, we're chaotic. The reason why I have focus and I'm organized is because my husband is in my life. Because I'm energy without focus. He focuses the direction that I go.
You keep
So
giving
Yeah,
the
but
answer to your own questions,
yeah, but you
Denise.
don't
The
think that's
answer
happening
is
right now?
yeah, the answer is fathers, and unfortunately, the majority of the individuals you were talking about weren't raised by base fathers. They
mhm,
were raised by women, or fathers that were raised by women, or fathers that were raised, or dudes that were raised by their grandmothers and their aunties, and maybe some
mhm,
sick old uncle. And when that culture, that traditional, Judeo-Christian culture isn't passed down for generations, you have a generation of lost boys at that point. And these
mhm,
lost boys, they don't know how to discipline girls if they get married at 22. But women
mhm.
see them as fun, hyper masculine, when they're in their 304 phase. Ooh, cool. But these are the type of dudes that are going to be more loose with their seed versus a boy who has a father that tells him, hey, you going out there, wrap it up. Hey, don't mess with these loose women. Hey, I would recommend you stay away from that type of woman. If boys don't have that kind of influence coming from a father, no, it's a wrap
Mhm.
at that point. Ain't nothing no old uncle or no, third cousin is gonna do at that point to
It,
save the
it, it
day.
makes it makes 100% because my husband comes from a lineage of men raised by fathers, and he had his father in his life, married to his mom for over 30 years now. So it makes perfect sense what you're saying. But my question goes to, what is the solution? Because the crisis is here, right? So it's going to have, like, at some point people are going to start having to do trade-offs and compromises in order to form families. Because let's say, for example, there is a percentage of women that might be overweight, or maybe they're not overweight but they're not as attractive in the Black community, and men don't want those women, right? So, but those women are desperate for male attention. And I spoke about the girl in the cardigan a lot. There's a lot of males that will ignore and walk by the girl in the cardigan, which exists in the Black community because I've seen them, that have zero bodies in their mileage. However, they get ignored by males that are pursuing constantly the 304s with the BBLs. So at some point, at what point young Black males, right, and I'm not just speaking on that because I know that in every other community the same thing exists, even in the white community, right? So at what point young Black males will say, hey, and that's when people like Kevin and Jose come in, because you guys are older people. At what point do you tell young males, hey, in order for you to get the results that you want, which is cooperation, peace, and a woman that's fit and nice to you and wants to have your children, right? Like, at some point you're going to have to compromise and go down maybe in looks in order to get the results that you want.
Well,
Yeah,
You
this is where I
know,
disagree with you,
at what
Denise.
point at what
Men don't have to
point you can
compromise
di-
anything. They
you
get the women
can
they want from the
disagree,
bat.
but the thing is, like Kevin, if 70% of young males, the average African American male is 35 years old in America, and 70% of those males are unmarried, that means they're unfit for marriage, because otherwise they will be married to somebody else, right, if they were fit.
That's
So
assuming they want to
my
get married,
my
right?
thing, no, if you don't want to get married, we have established on the stream previously that getting along with the opposite sex is the basic human development skill,
I can agree
right?
with that.
So you can disagree with that, but that is
No, no,
a
I can
known
agree. I
fact.
can agree with
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah,
it's,
that's the
it's
basic
it's the
thing.
most basic expression. Cavemen used to get along with women, right? So if as a young male you're unable to not only get married to people that looks like you but to anybody else, and it's 70%, right? we have to send the message that they are also unfit in some way, type, or form. Either if it's mentally unfit, financially unfit, or maybe physically unfit, or they're not as
To
attractive
answer your
too.
Wait a
question,
minute. You
to
you
answer
you
your
think
question,
70% of black males are unfit for marriage? Is
Well,
that
do
what
you
you
want
think?
me? Do you want me to pull out the statistics from Black demographics again, where
No, no, no,
we
no. Because
saw?
I'm pretty familiar with the statistics. So how do you
Okay,
think they're
then
unfit?
you know that is 33% of Black males are married today,
That's
based on,
correct. That's good. Got
okay,
that.
based on 2020 data. So that means 3 out of every 10, right? So 7 out of 10 are not married, and if they're not married, it's not because of Black women, because they're not married to anybody else either,
That's
right?
not
It's
necessarily
it's
true, Denise.
feminism. Like
That's
I'm
not
sorry,
necessarily
Denise,
true.
but when the
Yeah,
pool of matchable women is garbage, no, don't. At that point, you got to reform Pook, or you got this educated lame who's looking for marriage. Nah, he's done made changes to himself. Why would he go marry like a piece of trash? Regardless of the race. Oh yeah, just go marry a black. If you can't one, marry another American woman and save American culture. No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay,
The culture is
I
trash.
understand that. I understand that, but this is my thing, Trey. The Latin community, we're married at a 62% rate in the same spot. Like, we're here in the same country. So you have young Black males competing with young Latino males and young white males for the same pool of women that we all live with. Instead of comparing, because I often find that young Black males that are unmarried use the statistics to compare themselves to like how women are doing. And I don't think that's the most manly thing they can do, right? And I don't say that you are doing it, right? But instead of comparing yourself as a young unmarried man to your woman counterpart, you need to like compare your achievements and your accomplishment to other males. And we
men
know
Well,
generally aren't
that,
doing that though.
hold on, Kevin. Young white males are married at a 54%, right, to white women or Asian women or any other type of woman. And then Latino males are married at a 62% rate in the United States. So that means 6 out of every 10 and 5 out of every 10. The lowest group is Black people. So Black males do have an issue at getting women. So if other
Well,
males are doing better in that area, that means that there is a niche of Black males that are not doing some good in certain areas. And I'm not saying that to diss them. What I'm saying is, what if we say to this man, you're not just this perfect little unit delivered from God, because obviously you're not getting picked, or you're not necessarily like the
yeah.
most attractive male for marriage, right? So why
well,
you don't compromise certain things and tweak certain things that you can live with in order to get along with a woman that's decent, that's not ran through, and that at least will be submissive or cooperative with you, even though she might not be physically as attractive.
I
well,
think men
Denise,
compromise
here's
all
the
the time
problem.
though, Denise. I
Yeah,
don't know
why
what you're
come?
talking about. Yeah, men
Let me
compromise
get
all the
this one,
time.
Kevin. Denise, never as a man, never compromise. Number two, men choose. Women do not choose. Men choose. We control relationships. And the third thing, this is my biggest thing, which I always tell young black dudes: drop black. You want a successful relationship in the United States? Drop black. When you go into any woman besides a queen, and a sister, and
Mhm.
talking that victimhood stuff, she's gonna look at you like you're nuts, unless she's a leftover and needs saving. And
No.
okay, here's this poor black simp coming along. Okay, I can juice him. He'll be a stepdaddy. No, screw that.
There
Drop the
you go.
black part when you're
Yeah.
dealing with women. Women do not care about your victimhood struggle. All that
No.
racial victimhood stuff, that's a woman's thing. Nobody cares. Ain't nobody giving a handout to a dude out here. That stuff is for women. Even if
Mhm.
reparations did come, I guarantee you it would only go to women. So men just got to realize, like, look, I just got to, do what I got to do as a man. And as you said, my competition is every other young 32-year-old man of my
Mhm.
demographic. That's your competition. Your dating pool is every woman out there who is,
Mhm.
fit, feminine, convivial, and friendly.
There you go.
Mhm.
I agree with all of that.
Mhm.
And
Exactly. So
men, but
my thing
you're
is,
Denise, if
hold
I
on, Kevin. So my thing is, but if we go back to the numbers and we contrast, okay, the ones that are doing the worst are males that their skin color happens to be Black. And we know that they have been sold on the idea and the propaganda that there is two Americas, which is Black America and then white America or the rest of America, which I don't agree with. I believe there's only one America. I don't believe even there is Black Americans. I believe they're just American people. That's one of the biggest topics that I have said many times, right?
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
so if we go to by the concept of just people being American, right? And we put them in a pool, we can say, right, that kids that happen to be of that fake community or that propagandist type of community are underachievers when it comes to mating. And when I
Okay.
ask
Go ahead.
questions, directly, I never get a straight answer. Why is it that out of every group of males, we have Black young males today underachieving when it comes to mating? What is the
Okay,
reason?
Denise, I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
Are you
I'll,
ready?
I'll answer after you guys finish.
All right. I I run a Facebook group called American Black Men Married to Foreign Women. We have
Mhm.
238 members. 238 American black men who have married women from other countries. Why is it so magical and mystical that when I remove these men from the United States and take them to other countries, they don't have a problem meeting women and marrying them? The reason is because they're removed from a dysfunctional culture and placed in an older, more functional culture when it comes to dating and relationships, when it comes to family dynamics. The United States is a wonderful place to make money
Yeah.
for capitalism, but it is a sad and sorry place for the formation and retention of family unless you bring old world values with you when you come.
Hey, you know what, Pablo?
Just
I
like,
would.
wait a minute, just like uh, immigrants come to our country because they have a deficit in their country of economics, education, right? Just like those countries are irreparably.
I
Wait a
don't
minute.
think that's
Many of
why. I
those
don't think that's why
countries
we
are.
come here though.
Why do they come? What are they? Oh, so you tell us. Why do so many immigrants from other countries leave their country and come here? If
I'm
their
gonna
if
tell
their
you. I'm
countries
gonna
was
tell you.
go
No,
ahead.
I'm gonna tell you why Latinos come here, right? Because I'm Latina. I can only speak for my group, right? We come here because we want to participate in the Americana culture, which is capitalism. That's why.
So
Oh,
that's economic. That's
so
economic.
economics. Yeah,
No, no,
there's a
but that
better
does not mean okay, okay. Let
there's
me
a
see.
better
Let me
the
explain to you
economic
guys.
system
Let me
that you
explain
left.
something. Let me explain something to you guys because this is the problem that I often encounter with American folk of any walk of life, right? In any race. You can actually live a happy life in Latin America full of sentimentalisms and live a simple life. Okay, I was not living like a fucked up life in Latin America. You can live a good life. There's a reason why 700 million people are not fleeing. Okay, they're building their houses and painting them as we speak. The thing is that there is a bunch of group of people like myself that we value more financial overachievements over sentimentalisms, which is what Latin America is rich
Okay,
in.
so exactly that. So you're proving my
You're
point.
still saying economics.
You're still saying I want more. You you have you ever heard of a concept called Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No, actually, enlighten me on that.
Okay, so um, Abraham Maslow, who is a psychologist, um, came up with a theory, and I'm gonna try to pull this.
It's basically
Uh,
3 or 4 needs that you actually get. They start off with physical needs and stuff like that.
right.
Like
So
that, basically, things that you absolutely need in order to survive. Then it goes up, and then by the time you get to the top of the pyramid, it becomes like mental stuff like love and self-esteem and cognitive issues and stuff like that. But you got to
Yes.
fulfill your physical needs first, and then you get some other stuff that's met in the middle, and then you get to the point where all your physical needs are met for survival, and then you start building on the higher level stuff like love and self esteem and all the cognitive thinking stuff that the good the I call it the touchy feely stuff, emotional.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the screen here, if I may,
Yeah, I'll share it real quick.
and
Let
show
me.
you Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
All right.
All right. So we have down at the bottom of this pyramid your physiological needs: breathing, food, water, sex, well, is really reproduction, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's your bodily functions there. As you move up, you human beings seek out what's next in their hierarchy of needs. So safety, after your physiological needs have been met, you have food, um uh you have water, you can sleep, you can use the restroom. Now you move on to the next level of needs: safety, security of body, employment, resources, morality, the family, health.
You still there?
Yeah, we're here.
No, I'm talking about is he still there? As he's
As
explaining
yeah,
the
as you get these needs met, you move up in the pyramid. Now you're at love and belonging, friendship, family, sexual intimacy. You want to find a partner. You want to get married. Those kinds of things. Self-esteem, confidence, achievement. Right. So where the Latin immigrant comes in is up here in the achievement area. You want more, right? You got these
No,
things.
that's what I'm trying to explain to you, and I think I allow this explanation in order for me to get educated on this concept that I did not know. But this is what I'm trying to explain to you, and I think that you guys are not understanding our point. When you come here, you don't come here because you cannot live in your country. I could have made a life in Puerto Rico. You come here because the country aligns with the lifestyle that you
Puerto
want.
Rico is the United States, ma'am.
Well,
So
it's the United States on paper, but you have not lived in Puerto Rico to actually understand what I'm talking about.
listen to me.
So, no, hold on. I want you to look at what Blood Moon said. This is a woman that has property in the Dominican Republic also, and could have easily, she literally doesn't even know what to do with that property because she doesn't even need it. So she could comfortably
Well,
live over there.
if you
Hold
could do
on,
all of that, why come here though? Why?
because I'm explaining to you, if you listen to understand what I'm trying to tell you, right? Is that we come here because the culture of the Americana aligns with what we want out of our lives.
Then
And the
why
cult,
didn't? Okay, so now explain to
hold
me
on.
what
The
your
Ameri
what your home country
can I
didn't
finish my
align with. Go ahead.
can I finish my thoughts?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So the American culture, many people fail to understand. It's not a culture of sentimentalisms, which is something that you will find in Latin cultures, which is the reason why many American males tend to find very attractive the women from our collective because we have more time to do simple tasks and it's more family oriented because we're this little group of people where we have a patriarch that we all follow and it's this big unit and we value different things. Our culture is based around family. And that's what we focus on. But that does not mean that you can live and your life is hell and you're running away from things and that you cannot make a living in Latin countries. You can, but your values or the things that you value will not necessarily align with the country you were born with, which is something you had no control over. I wish I would have been born in a country where business minded people were motivated, was the goal of the country, was the Puerto Rican dream, was entrepreneurship. But that unfortunately is not the Puerto Rican dream. Get my
it's
point? The
it,
American
it,
dream
So
is what we're being sold. We're being
it,
sold the American dream, which is basically that you can come here to this country and start something from ground zero, and because of consumerism and capitalism you can profit a lot. So we come here for the Americana culture.
You're saying
Does
Okay.
that
American
make
culture, but it sounds like
sense?
economics, though.
Exactly.
And
So
and
No,
again,
again, but it's
Denise,
you're
not,
not
but it's
letting me
not,
now
finish.
check this
You're
out.
again,
not
you
letting me
guys
And
are
I'm
finish
not
and
trying.
not,
bring it
I'm
in.
not
you're
trying to
not
argue with you on this
understanding.
because
We're
you know,
not,
and
I
I think
just
you guys are, again, don't overtalk me. Wait, you guys are not understanding. You're not, your needs are going to be met in Latin America.
ma'am, these are
What
as
you're
I agree
not
you
with
going
you on
to be
that.
able, again,
can
what you're
I
not
explain
going
the
to be,
pyramid?
hold
Can I
on.
explain
No,
the
What
no,
you're,
pyramid?
can I finish? What you're not going to be able to do in Latin America is have a government that panders to entrepreneurship with their laws, their banks, and their insurances. That's why we move here. I don't know why this
you're
is so
still
hard to
circling back to
understand.
economics.
Okay, can I finish?
It's
Can I
economics, but it's
respond?
not needs. It's not that we need to come here like you're trying to make
I
it
think you're
sound like.
misunderstanding the word needs. That's I'm not
Well,
meaning
you
it in
kind
the
of went
way
with the
that you're
Hamas on
But then
Biden.
describing
you
it.
say that this pyramid is
Ma'am, can
based
I
on
finish?
needs. Yeah, go
As,
ahead.
as you look, I said the basic needs are at the bottom. I'm not talking about you leaving and escaping biting poverty. No. Look at the tops of the pyramid. The top two blocks in here. If these are higher goals, not survival stuff,
Hey,
self-esteem, achievement,
the only other thing I
morality,
would say to that is that, yeah,
spontaneity, prompts. These are the higher goals of which you're speaking. The business acumen, the ability to be creative and to create things from nothing. That is why you came, right? So when we
Like,
say needs, the needs are in what's called a hierarchy, meaning they go from the bottom, from the very basic stuff, to the higher needs that you're talking about at the top.
well, it depends because it varies from person to
All
person.
right.
You
So
might think, no, hold on. You might think, right, that maybe that pyramid works for a person like myself. But I don't know if Daniel Valencia is still here. Daniel Valencia values his indigenous roots, and he's a Mexican indigenous folk that values more his life with his family doing agriculture more than the American dream. So that's why he's not fleeing America. I mean, Mexico.
okay,
So at the end of the day, he's just putting work so that he can make more money, but he goes back and forth to Mexico, which is actually where he resides.
but I want
So
to finish why I'm using this as an example, though,
go
because the
ahead.
reason I'm using this as an example is to point out that in the very same way immigrants come here to improve their lives in some way, whatever way it is that is important to them,
Hmm.
right? Because there is some type of deficit where they left. I'm not
Deficit
saying
for
they got to be
their
poor.
personal
I'm not, I'm not
what they value personally. Yes.
right.
I can
What
agree
they
with you on
value
that, Denise. So
personally,
that makes
there's a
sense.
Hmm.
deficit. So,
Yes.
in the very same way that those immigrants came here to fill a deficit in their lives, is the very same way that these 200 and some odd black men in my Facebook group were able to fulfill a deficit in their lives that the culture
Hmm.
is deficient in. The culture is deficient in that area in the same way you're saying your culture was deficient in the area of allowing business and entrepreneurship to thrive. This
Hmm.
culture is deficient in allowing family and relationships and those kind of things to thrive. We got a 50% divorce rate. So those white men are getting married and they're divorcing them just as quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm not sure what that's supposed
well,
I'm
no,
not
no,
sure what
no,
that's
because
supposed to
well,
mean.
no, because what
You
he's saying, Denise, is that all the financial stuff and the physical needs that the black men who are leaving, or the men in his group, it's already being met here. They don't have any issues with that. It's the family thing that they're having a problem with. So they're just going
Hmm.
outside of the country to get that. The only other thing I would
But
say to that,
the thing
Pablo,
is, like, if they're going outside of the country to get that, what percentage, because out of the 33% of Black young males that are married, right, 89% are married to African American women. Only 4% are married to Latinas. So when we say this when we use this statement, right, about Black males leaving to go find wives, then what percentage is that, and why is it that the numbers are going down instead of up, and we still are left with 7 out of every 10 young Black males have not been able to find a wife here or otherwise?
Well,
Well, you
here,
aren't
let me
counting
give
the
you a
men. You aren't
stat.
counting the ones who are actually overseas and married. You aren't
But
counting
I
those
mean,
guys.
no, but the
And
thing
nobody's
is,
tracking
like,
that, by the way.
Thirty
The
this is
State
percent.
Department's
no,
not tracking that.
actually,
There's no reason
no,
to track it.
hold on.
Thirty
It's
percent of
being
black
tracked.
men
Hold
with a
on, hold on,
college
hold on, hold
education
on, hold
marry
on, hold on,
outside of their
hold on,
race.
hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm gonna mute you, and it's the first warning. Please don't overtalk me. It's being tracked by the women that are marrying these people. We know that 22% of Latinas are marrying American males, right? So, with that being said, still, we don't have large numbers because that 22% of Latinas of marrying age, and we know this based on the ECLAC numbers, right? Uh, Latinas of marrying age, only 22%. That means 2 out of 10 of marrying age are marrying American male. That could be white, black, or whatever other American male, right? So it's still not in large numbers. So it brings me back to my question, which you guys have done an excellent job. I'm not trying to diss them or nothing, but I think we're spreading too much away from the topic. What problems? And I want to ask this question. I want you guys to just say the problems or say that there's none. I don't want to hear like a dissertation on this, right? Can you guys name me 3 reasons in your personal opinion as to why you believe, what are the 3 problems that Black males have, Black young males that are unmarried have, which is why they're not getting married, that don't have anything to do with Black women? What are those 3 reasons?
Well, one is one is
One is that you
economic.
got guys who just don't want to. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't want to get married.
Okay, one is that they don't want to get married. What's the other one, Kevin?
Well, this is Pablo. The other is
No,
economic.
because Kevin said 1 reason only, and I
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
him for
So
3.
no. So yeah, he's right about that. I would say
They don't
they
want to
don't
get
want to.
married.
What they don't
What
want to,
else?
and that's not that many, but they don't want to. And then there might be some economic issues associated with that.
What are the
And
economic
then the
issues?
other is that they might not just want. Well, so this kind of goes in not wanting to, but they don't want kids. It's because if you don't want kids and if you don't want kids, then there's no real reason to get married. And then you might have some economic issues that's preventing you from getting married until maybe you decide later on that you're capable of doing that. So that would be at least a couple of things that I would say.
Okay, so the men that are not getting married, of marrying age, are not getting married because they don't want to, which points at, again, mental health. Second, for financial issues,
How's that mental
which
health?
I'll explain. And
Yeah.
third one, because they don't want to reproduce, which also points to mental health.
How is that mental health?
Now, Pablo Frescobar, you were gonna say your 3 opinions, right? Your
Okay.
3 reasons why.
So one of the reasons is social, right? And the reason I say social is because when they look around their peer group, very few of their actual peer group are married. Marriage kind of becomes contagious.
Mm-hmm.
So when other people around you begin to get married, guess what you do? You say, man, there's not many people want to date around here. I might want to find me a partner. And before the music stops and I don't have a chair to sit in. You ever played musical chairs?
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
Right.
right. It's basically like we say with peer pressure.
Right. So that's one. There's no social pressure to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Two is economic. And when I say economic, I don't mean they necessarily, well,
it takes a longer time in this country to establish yourself. Once it's once you do, you can do very well. But the culture is changing from a manufacturing um, economy to a service economy and a technological economy. And so younger people have a harder time, or it takes them a longer time to become self sufficient, right? Meaning that they can uh, provide their own apartment, their own transportation, because we live in a car culture, right? And we don't come from a culture like Latin America where you live with your parents until when you're 30 years old till you get married. So
Well, we
they
don't marry. We don't necessarily marry at 30. Like, if you're not
right.
married at 26, you're already getting like the side eye.
I got you, but what I'm saying is they're not staying at home with mom and dad until they marry.
No,
They're
we
gonna
stay,
try
we
to
stay, we stay till we marry, actually. The thing
right,
is, like, we're able to start our marriages whether your husband has $25 in his pocket or not.
right, and I admire that, but that's just not the culture here. The culture here is you got to have your own thing, and then you can do it, right?
And,
So
and most
my
people want to
so
get away
my
from their
thing
parents
so
anyway after
my
they're
thing
married.
is so my question is, why is it that young of marriageable age males have no purchased land in a country that will give you rural homes as long as you live in them with zero down payment and low interest through the USDA program? Like, why is it that we have so many young males that are not doing that, like white boys are doing?
White boys aren't really doing that like
White
that.
boys,
And maybe
I
there's,
can I can pull out the data. The people
what
that
percent of white boys
uses
are doing that?
again, the people that uses the USDA program are mostly white males.
Yeah, that would make sense because they would set the program up to make sure it benefits white males. That would make
Okay,
sense.
but like
Yeah, so, but I do have a
everyone
question for
has
you
no,
though.
but I want to answer the question, because look, listen to what you just said. You just said no, it's not, white males are not doing that, and then I told you that the numbers prove different, and then you said yeah, they do it because they benefit themselves. My thing
That would make
is,
sense that they would do it.
do
Yeah,
you think that there are, seriously, you think that black people cannot apply for a USDA
yeah,
loan?
they can. They probably just got to work harder to qualify. But I do have a question that
Okay, but like
you
my
mentioned a mental
question, no,
issue
no,
though.
but my question
Well, are they
is,
even aware of it? Is the
my
question.
that is exactly where I
Well,
was heading.
I
That's
wasn't,
that's where I was heading.
and I'm a grown man, and yeah, I wasn't aware of
There are like literally 17 different federal programs to acquire a home. A second program that I'm aware of is the NACA program, which is a zero down, no credit needed home that you will get so much help, because even if you default on your mortgage payment and you get in touch with the program, then they will help you out once you're in the program, and they offer you the purchase of your home in a not large city for, I think, 484,000, and if you're in a large city, I think they give you up to $700,000, depending on how much you can pay for a year. Let's say, for example, that you want a mortgage that pays $3,000, even though you don't have the credit. So for a year, you tell them, hey, I pay $1,000 on rent, but I put every month $2,000 in my savings account to prove that I can produce that payment. They will give you that money.
Okay, I mean
So
that's
I don't
fine.
understand why we're using the lack of, not the lack of resources, because that is real, and that's why I keep saying I do believe that there are real issues, but the lack of resourcefulness is not, it's not something that can be blamed on white supremacy.
And this is
Does
whether
that
you're
make
married or not,
sense?
right? Now this program, all these programs you're talking about, they're whether you're married or not, right?
Whether you're married or not, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with some of them, not all of them, but I just because I never needed them, so I just
Well,
didn't
I
know
bought my
what to go
house
into
under
it.
in one
Yeah,
of
I
them
got the
where
yeah.
Yeah, but
Because
that
I
is
was
the but
military,
that is the
mine was
thing.
VHA,
But
so
that is
that
the thing. The problem is that we're valuing the wrong things in society, and we're not speaking up on these things, because how about we fight so that financial assessment is included, rather than to fight for things like, oh my God, like I want my kid to have like a lunch program, or I want my kid to know, CRT, for example, when the most important thing that will benefit them the most, even though the Black history, I believe, is extremely important, right? But what will benefit them the most is to know how to survive in the world after school and after parents are deceased, right?
Yeah, but parents are supposed to be helping that out as a thing. Now, the question I have is that you said because guys don't want to get married, that they have it's a mental problem.
It is a mental health
Like,
issue.
how do you get to that? Now, I'm curious. Now you
Well,
piquing my
the
curiosity.
problem with the mental health issue is that the basic, and I think I said it, this is the first time I said it on the stream, the basic human development skill of mating is a very basic skill. Getting along with the opposite sex is a very
I would.
basic human skill that even cavemen that lack in language and civilization understood.
Okay. Okay. All
So
right.
when you say you don't want to mate, which is something that's innate in you that even cavemen did, then yes, there is a mental issue that we must address.
Okay. So I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into your plan, Sarah, Denise, of what you just said. Okay. So I know a good number of men, and I call them internet friends because that's who I talk to, right? I
Hmm.
mean, I don't, and when I go out, if I'm in their area or city or country, I'll visit them personally because we've coordinated that. But the thing is that matter of fact, I'm gonna just give you one guy's story. He's been trying to get. He actually grew up married family. Everybody before him was married. All of that stuff. The only issue that he had or he saw was that his parents did get divorced, but even with that, he was still focused on marriage. And that guy was doing that. That was his mindset. Like graduating high school, going into his early 20s, and basically his story is very simple.
Hmm.
He felt like he shouldn't have to go all over the place in order to find a wife. And the
Hmm.
women that he ran into, you know, and I get it. There's a lot of women in a city, whatever. But he evaluated, probably a dozen. I don't know how many women he dealt with, but none of them qualified for marriage. That dude is over 40 now. He's just not that. He's just not that much interested in it. That's not a mental problem. He just doesn't want to do it anymore. And one of the
Oh,
things I've
okay.
noticed with older men is that once they get to a point where they get where they're like, look, okay, do I really want to start a family at 43, 44? Some guys will do it. The majority won't. So that's why. So that's why I say, well, some just don't want to get married. They've been trying. This guy been trying to get married for like the last 15 years or so. And he's like, you know what? I'm just at this point, it's not even a priority. So that's not a mental issue. That's some circumstances. Now he did limit himself. He did primarily limit himself to black women. So that was his. That probably was a mistake that he made, if you want to call it a
So
mistake.
so you mean to
He could have
tell
just.
me so you mean to tell me that an eligible bachelor went through his mid and late 20s, his early mid and late 30s, all the way to his 40s, and out of the millions of women in the US that other men could find wives, right? He was the only one that couldn't because he could not wind
No.
up in the
There's a
same
group of guys
vicinity
that
of
had that same problem.
eligible. No, hold on. He couldn't wind up in the same vicinity of eligible for wife material women.
Yeah, that was his problem, and I suspect, and a lot of guys had that same problem. Now, here's my deal.
And you
I'm
mean
gonna,
to
I'm gonna,
tell me, no, hold on. So you mean to tell me that a man that compared to other men his age, when it comes to human development, which one of the basic skills is mating, right? When we compare him to all the achievements and the development of other males, they could mate and he failed to do so.
okay,
You mean to
so
tell me that he doesn't have any mental issues?
so you know what? So yeah, I'm gonna try to explain this, and then I'm gonna get on off because honestly, I know you mean well, but you women, like, you pontificate and talk in circles,
No,
and
I
you come up
understand
with
that
all
you
kinds
have
of
a problem with me
you.
having
Well, because you
an
guys come up with a bunch
XX
of stuff that doesn't make
chromosome.
sense. I'm literally
How is
look,
it not?
Denise,
How
Denise, Denise, Denise,
explain to me
Denise.
how? No, no, no,
No
no!
man should.
Don't
You got
overtalk me
you got to pass me the
again.
buck.
No, no. We said that we were not going to overtalk the host, right? And I'm getting a little
Well,
frustrated with that. Go ahead, Pablo Frescobar.
so I have a question to your statement that it is mental illness if a young man does not want to get married.
Hmm.
Where have you seen any research, data, any scholarly research um, in psychological journals, professional journals that bear that out?
Well, I'll give you a reference. You can go to the Canadian scholar known as Jordan B. Peterson, when he in detail explains why people of modern society, youth, right, decide not to get married. And he explains that people simply just do not want to grow up because marriage and children, according to him, right, these are not my words, according to him, these two things are the only two things that will make a person grow up. I am not an expert in human development, but he's a scholar at Harvard. So I
Okay.
do not want
And
to
what
argue
did
with his
he? I
assessment.
know who Jordan Peterson is. I'm fully
Okay.
aware of him. In any of that, did he mention not growing up as being a diagnosable mental illness?
I didn't say mental illness, though. I said mental issue.
Mental issue.
Yeah, there is a mental issue.
Okay. Like I don't want to.
Yes, like you don't want to grow up and you should go and assess it with a licensed
Oh,
therapist so that you can understand why you feel that fear of growing up.
all right. So mental issue is not equal or synonymous with mental illness. That just
I
means
never
I
mentioned
have an
mental
issue.
illness.
Okay, I think people hear that when you say that. I think that's the way they hear it. That's why they were probably triggered.
But do you
I
know
understand.
that I'm responsible for what I say, not for what people understand, right?
I understand. But that's why
Okay.
May
I
I jump
wanted.
in when y'all get a chance? Let me
Yeah,
jump
that's
Yeah,
in
why
go
I
when
wanted.
ahead,
you know when
Robert.
That's why
Go
I wanted
ahead,
to flesh.
Robert.
I wanted to flesh
I
that out.
was
I'm sure we
well.
were all
I just been sitting here listening. The one gentleman who I think his name is Kevin, who was telling the story about his friend. I'm gonna share a quick story. When I was in college,
Hmm.
Kevin Samuels used to tell these stories all the time. From
Hmm.
18 to about 21, everyone's wilding out. Parties, drinking, sleeping around. That's what most people were doing, or half the people. Right around 21, you start noticing, okay, couples, a lot of couples. By the time senior year, college came around, people are getting engaged. As soon as
Hmm.
graduation came around, everybody's getting married off. And you start seeing people get married off. Like, it's just like, I mean, from the time I was 21 to 26, I kid you not, I went to 40 weddings. 40.
Yeah, you're a bridesmaid at so many weddings.
I
It's
mean, you
so
just start
crazy.
seeing, and then you start seeing it. So the reason why I bring that up is because it's like you were saying, Denise, a lot of these guys, white, Hispanic, Asian. I really didn't go to too many African American weddings, maybe like two, maybe. So you start seeing this. So all these guys were able to find a woman in college or out of college, but somehow, like all these men that say, "Oh, marriage sucks, marriage is this and that," you guys can't find it, but all these dudes in college were able to find it. So it begs the question: well, why are these men able to find it, but this group isn't?
Yeah.
And what I've also found when I talk to a lot of guys who say, "Oh, I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married," you know, it's usually I don't want to take it as far as saying mental issue, but there's usually like maybe a lack of confidence. Maybe they don't feel stable enough. Maybe they don't feel there's like something like I don't feel that I'm ready or I don't feel that I can do it kind of attitude towards marriage. Or sometimes it's like, hey man, I just want to f around.
Yeah.
Now I will agree with I think Kevin also brought it up. I do think you get to a certain age and you're just like, you know what, you want to do it. Because I just went through like a divorce. So now I went through a divorce. I'm 38 or I'll be 38 soon. I
Hmm.
don't have any kid. I'm getting to the point where I don't, I was like, man, do I really want to start a family at like 39, 40? So, I do kind of agree with that. You do get to a point where you're just like, man, you know what? The writing's on the wall. I just may as well just hang it up and call it a day.
So my thing is, do you recommend that all society does the same thing as you, Robert?
I mean, I don't recommend society do the same
Or
thing, but I do
why?
think
Or why?
why? I mean,
Mhm.
I think it really depends on your attitude. Like, because you do have men that do the whole age gap dating thing, and they have no problem starting a family. Hey, I don't mind having my first child at 41, 42, 43. They don't mind that. They'll date a 22, 23-year-old and have that first child. So you have men that do it. I mean, we see in the Latin culture all the time where guys be like in their 30s marrying like chicks that are like 16
Yeah,
and
we
having a
see it all
child.
the time. Yeah.
So obviously it depends on your what you want out of life and what you're looking for. So I don't recommend that you take my approach to it because I do think you could do it. But I mean, at the same time, like some of the gentlemen are saying, I mean, it does. You start to wonder, like, okay, the quality does not get better as you get older. It gets
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest myths. When people say, "Oh, wait to get married. Wait, wait, wait. No, you should wait. Wait till you're this. Wait till you're that." No, because if you keep waiting, what you start to realize, man, 30. Once you pass 30, man, almost half the women my age all have kids. Half the women my age are all senile. Half the women my age are all this, and but vice versa. For the men, it's like all the for women, I hear the same complaints. Well, all the men are baby daddies. All the men are this. So it's kind of like, man, like you get to a point where it's like, damn, the options are just you have lots of options, but the quality of those options suck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's leftover people at that point. It's how can I explain it? Because I have people in my family, that have waited till late to like actually mate. And I've seen that their complaints is that they're dealing with sobras, with like leftover. And it's not good. Like amongst, like I see it like there's like a bunch of KFC chicken pieces, and like the people that married in their 20s get all the chicken breasts, and some get the thighs, and then in your 30s you get like some of the legs, a few thighs and the wings, and then at 40s the bones.
We used to have a similar thing. Me and my friends, we used to talk about. We compared it to a bar. When you're young, the top echelon women, the top echelon guys are like the top shelf stuff at the bar, like the really expensive bottle. There's only a couple of bottles up there. That's the top
Hmm.
echelon of men or women. They're like the top shelf. Like those are rare because you better hurry up and get that because that's in short supply. Once that's gone, that's gone.
Hmm.
Then you get the big crop. You get the Jack Daniels, you get the Ciroc, you get this stuff like that. I mean, it's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's still good quality. That's available. But then if you wait too long, then you get the crap that's on tap, the $1
Yeah.
PBR, $2 PBR. I mean, that's available in abundance. That never runs out. I mean, that's gonna
Yeah.
always be around, and that's kind of what it's like. It's like
Yeah.
after third, once you start getting closer to 40, man, the quality that's out here is basically PBR beer. I mean, $2 beer. It's available in abundance, and it's just I don't want to sit there and I don't want to crap on everybody because I mean I'm sure there's quality. There are some good people out there, but it's just harder to find once you start getting past 30. Once you can start getting into your 40s. That's why to me, I always tell people, man, get married. I
But
mean, find
even
if
but
you
even
find it,
it but even if you look at your experience, Robert, you said that you were married at some point. You get my
yeah.
I don't know if you get my point. Like you just had an impasse at family, but you still wanted to go out there, and you got the deal signed on. You signed the contract because okay, you tried it, you didn't like it, and you're off relationships. That happens to a lot of people. But like we're talking about folks that have never even tried or have never qualified for a marriage, because both men and women have to qualify for that. A male
I'm
that, like I said, that cannot protect me, like I that was one thing I look for in a man. Like you have to be good at violence if I am to be with you. At least I recommend that to any woman out there. You want a man that's good at violence and that is not afraid of violence at all. He just knows how to control it and use it when it's due. But you want a man that is a monster, and I feel very safe with my man. And you also want a
you,
man that's able to financially be stable and pay bills and produce money. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands, but has to be stable.
I think that's it right there, though. I think, sorry, it's not to interrupt. I think that's it. What I've noticed about a lot of the guys who don't want to get married,
Hmm.
typically a lot of them are low earners, below average earners. Like, so like, and it's kind of like you were saying earlier, Denise, like, they almost have like that little boy, they kind of stay in that little boy state. They're still playing
Hmm.
video games. They're still, doing the same things that they were doing when they were 19, 20 years old. Like, it's like that refusal to grow up or that lack of ambition, because the guys that were getting married when I was in college, these are guys that were either that were going on to become average earners, or these guys going on to become lawyers, doctors. So it's not the guys that are per se making a lot of money or productive citizens. It's sometimes it's a lot of the guys that are just kind of existing that
Yeah,
don't want it.
And
During
you
the
know that
march,
that's one of the things that make the least sense to me, and I'll explain why. Because when you're a high earner, you have less time because you'll make a horrible husband and a crappy father if you're a high earner. That's mostly what happens. It's low earners or blue collar workers that make the best husbands and the best fathers because they have the ability to be more present. So it's like a constant contradiction of people that I hear, especially my generation and below, as to why they're not able to do the most basic things like form a freaking family. It's not rocket science. It's actually very easy. Now, I know that Jose was holding on to actually insert his comment. Like, go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, I just find I feel a little uncomfortable when I hear people talking about, you know, there is no resources, or that there's some sort of conspiracy, what have you, in order for stop people from becoming homeowners. Okay, my parents raised 8 children on public assistance. Our parents gave us the knowledge that we needed to be productive in society. Me and two of my siblings became homeowners. Okay, both my sister and my brother own a house. I own a condo. Okay, we took advantage of the knowledge and the experience that we got from my parents. Okay, and we did what we needed to do in order to become successful. Unfortunately, not everyone in my family did that, but we were given the tools to succeed. And it does go down to accountability. Okay, if you want a desired result, you need to take the necessary steps in order to achieve it. I wanted to become a homeowner, not a renter. So I had to do certain things in order to achieve that goal. First of all, I had saved some money, number one. Number two, I improved my credit history. And number three, I took advantage of the resources that was available in order to be a homeowner. Yes, I became a homeowner at 55, which is a long time, but I actually achieved my goal. I didn't sit down and just think about, oh, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. And let me tell you, I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, with more than half my family passing away, going through three major procedures with my health, and three bouts of depression. At least 3 times I thought about committing suicide. What I did was I took the actions that I needed to do in order to get myself under the situation. I did not stay behind in my situation and just complain. I took the actions that was necessary. And there's a saying, it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. And I apologize for the religious analogy. I just needed to end at that part.
Thank you, Jose, for your assessment. I'm gonna start taking like final remarks, guys. Yeah, Morena says she was like, I learned so much tonight. Yeah, I am glad that we were able to you know learn from one another, even through disagreements. I trust me, I learned a lot tonight. And before I start taking like closing remarks from people, I want to say that this is the tempo that I want to continue to engage with people from now on. Um, if when I'm on different platforms, like I have absolute control when I'm on my platform, therefore, like I don't have to, raise my voice in order to express my point because people will mob attack me when I speak. In here, I can easily like mute people because out of respect, like you should not overtalk others, right? Um, but I would say that this is a tempo I will continue to talk. And I think 2023, after everything we have seen, should be the year of accountability and should be the year of assertiveness. And I am so glad that this kind of confrontation had to happen in order to produce this conversation, because it was needed, you know. And I will continue in my platform to shed a light on resources available to non-white folks, since apparently that seems to be put on the blame of to Uncle Sam, so that we can continue to improve our lives. But make no mistake, there will always be folks that will make excuses as to why their lives are not improving. There will always be people that will be crying, and there will always be tears as to why the simple things of life cannot be achieved. Okay. And whereas I do agree with many black males in the manosphere or the red pill sector when they say things about how their ladies are out of order, I agree with a lot of things they say, and I agree with a lot of female responsibility being part of the solution to the crisis in the black community. I think it's a shared responsibility, which is why I wanted to shed a light on, because I often only talk to the women. um yeah, exactly. Morena, focus, I love what she just said. Focus on what you can do versus what you can't do. Exactly. Like things that you cannot do that are out of your control, that are out of your control. Do what you can with what you have. Be like the, and I always use this example at home, be like the creator of the tongue. He wanted to create underwear, but he didn't have enough fabric, so he decided that everybody had butt cheeks. So let's just let them out. And he created his underwear, right? So I'm gonna take Jose's final points and then Robert's, and then I'll finish with my commentaries. Jose, final take on today's stream.
Well, first of all, Denise, as always, thank you very much for being very gracious to allow me on your platform. And I usually don't stay in a platform this long.
I
And
know.
and and the fact of the matter is, Denise, you were sorely missed, but but I understand the reason why. I mean, not only
Yeah, I know.
of course you always was always a miss on my platform as well, but that's another story. But I think what we see tonight is that we need to be mindful how we address women, particularly those who are married, and we need to start taking accountability for our actions. Okay, because it's very easy to blame this person, that person, what have you. But when everything is said and
Mhm.
done, we're all accountable to our actions, and we should properly address those who are married or are in a committed relationship. That being said, thank you very much. And for all those who have not done so, please subscribe to my platforms, which is Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, and a new platform, which is called Latina Diaspora. Um, and thank you very much, and have a good day.
Have a good day, Jose. I'm gonna put you backstage. I'm not gonna have a backstage tonight because, of course, I have to tend to my newborn. But um, I want to take Robert's take on this. So, Robert, uh, what is your final thoughts on today's topic?
Well, I wanted to ask the guys, but they already left. But
Okay.
because one thing I've often wondered is, what you see in a lot of other groups is that the men are in charge. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of excuse making. Like white men, white people, men
Mm-hmm.
typically are the leaders. Asian men, Middle Eastern men, Latinos men, but like in the black communities, women. And so it begs the question, if we if you guys stop focusing on what the women aren't doing, stop worrying about what women can and cannot do, and just focus on yourselves and becoming as Mr. Samuels used to always say, the best version of yourselves. Won't the women come? And that's what I've always, because that's kind of how I've done it in my life. I said, you know what? Where I was in my 20s, it wasn't good enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I took on a second job, I worked out, got built, and it's like slowly but steadily, women started coming. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like, I think to me, it's not, stop focusing on what the quote unquote black woman is not doing because if you focus on yourself as a man and you build yourself up to be a productive man, then you will find quality no matter what country you're in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and I guess the final thought too is, I mean, what we're seeing is not just to black women. I mean, I go to the Dominican Republic every summer, and man, the Republican is getting it's out of control. What's going on down there? I mean, they basically it mirrors what's happening in the black community. That's part of the reason why I always say I feel like I can speak because I see the same stuff in the Dominican Republic. It's god awful. I mean, dembo culture is really taking over. But
Yeah, with
again,
Tokisha. That's what I keep saying. Like when people glorify us Latinas, uh, I want them to go to Carolina, Puerto Rico.
yep,
I don't understand. Like, have you go to Rio de Janeiro or like to Chile or
yep,
Argentina? Like, how are we like this all of a sudden like this epitome of like simple conservative women? Like like if you're not going to Central America for a wife when it comes to Latinas, I have no respect for that passport, bro. Because I know you're going for sex.
exactly. I mean, and I mean, because I don't want to take up too much, but I mean, that's exactly what I was gonna say. If it ain't Mexico or Central America, you're
Mhm.
really not getting a wife because Dominican Republic, Colombia, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Those women are just they're loose with it. Because in
Yeah.
Dominican Republic, who's the woman that they love? Tokisha, Jailene. Not
Not only
exactly.
that, Robert, in Colombia, 84% of the babies are born out of wedlock.
Yep.
So like
And I'm
how are
yeah.
we better than black women? Like I will never understand why we're being glorified. I've said it on many black platforms and a lot of people insult me for saying that.
Oh yeah. I mean, in Dominican Republic, I've heard stories about, American men, passport bros, whatever you want to call them, going down there, having sex with the women, women getting pregnant, and now they're single mothers. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, well, so, but yeah, I mean, that's my final thought on that. But
We have the same things, the same problems, same aspirations. It's all the same. It's just a matter of
mm,
location. So like I said, Central America is the place to go if you want a Western wife.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Dominican men, like Dominican men. I mean, I love my people. I love being Dominican. Todo orgullo de mi país. But Dominican men are very beta. All these dudes, they just hang around, they just chill all day, don't want to work. So it's like, I mean, again, until Dominican men start becoming men again, then these women are just gonna be out of control.
Yeah, yeah. Men dictate the tune, and it's like I said,
Hmm.
like it might sound like misogynistic, but it's men that we're chaotic. I've said it many times and I will stand on that a lot. As women, we are chaotic. Men will always put us in the right direction and make us focus. And if you're unmarried, that should come in the form of a father, an older brother, an uncle, a grandpa, a pastor, I don't care who, but that should be your regulator. I mean, get under the tutelage of an older man that has no sexual aspirations for you, and you will do good. That's just how it is. I'm gonna put you backstage. If you guys want to hang out backstage, I will pop up everyone back up. I will just not be there, but I'm gonna close out saying this. Like from what I've gathered, right? I think a question that was unanswered during the stream was that why is it that we have young black males that are, of marrying age, not being married? It's the same reason why we have 304s. And I will put that on older black males because it's your job to tell young black males that marriage is the best thing they can do, that forming a family is the best thing for their lives, that they won't die by themselves. And even though they will have to work very hard throughout their lives and go through stress, and sometimes life will get hard, the best thing they can do is form a family. Your elders did it. You have to do it. And I feel like baby boomer black males and Gen X black males just don't want to put in the work and pass down the information that's needed to younger black males. It's almost as they are the weak link, and it's not millennials or Gen Z like they want to try to point out. So what they're doing instead, which is why I commented to Kevin earlier, is that on Radical Stream, they're jading the younger generation, because the younger generations do not know from your mouth how much you resent black women, how much you resent their moms, how much you experience this and that. What should come out of your mouth if you wish to see young black males of marrying age married is, you want to marry, you want to work hard to get married. It's the most beautiful thing that can happen to you, and you should get your shit together by this age, by all means necessary, in order for you to form your family, right? So with that being said, I think the responsibility will always fall on men, but in this case it's going to be older men. So with that being said, uh, I think young males have to, especially millennials and Gen Z, I feel for you guys because there's no mentorship, unfortunately, in the black community when it comes to men and women, and you're really uncovered out here, which is why it will always come down to what I've said from the get go. Seek a therapist. Gen X and baby boomer generations throughout all across the board uh, have a prevalent selfish nature. Now, do you have outliers and you have pockets of Gen Xers and baby boomers that are nice people and great parents? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've met a lot. Uh, but you also have large numbers of them that, just like we've seen today, they will not pass the baton of information. They will not give you the right information. They will want to just keep you angry so that you remain lonely and they won't die alone. So either, look, I'm Morena, I'm one of them. Yeah, Morena, but you're one of the good ones because you actually love your son enough to pass the right information to him. So exactly, Samantha P. When she says, don't take any advice from older men, please, for the love of God. Thank you for that. Okay. So just look at the results. Uh, older men that are not successful in their marriages, that don't mirror or resemble the lifestyle that you want to have. And the same goes for the women, older women that don't resemble the results that you want as a woman, then don't listen to that. Unfortunately, we were born in a generation where we will have to literally pull ourselves by nothing and build something out of clay, literally, because we have no guidance. So trust me when I say I feel you. It's not your fault, it's your responsibility. But listening to these older crappy people that don't care is not going to help you, because they're not doing it out of trying to find a solution. They're doing it so that you can also be bitter and angry and misogynistic or misandrist like they are. So I wish you the best. We will continue with this type of conversations. I will soon launch during this summer a lifestyle channel talking about marital issues, motherhood, among other things, in a more balanced way. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. More is coming. I'm just adjusting with mom life, right? So, like I said, I feel you. I understand what's going on, but it's our responsibility to pick a therapist. There is a nice therapist that I talked to that helped me personally on my own journey, and it's linked here. We were talking about Latino issues over a year ago. You can go to that stream and reach out to him, or reach out to whoever. So you can take care of yourself, because these older people are not here looking out for you. Okay. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for giving me 4 hours of your time. It was a pleasure. It felt really good to be back here. And I want to thank everyone that tuned in. Like I said, I wanted to come back with a very heartwarming welcome baby show, but unfortunately, well, circumstances push me into doing this one instead. So I'm going to do that one where I will answer different questions about what I've been going through in this past months that I've been away. So I will announce it with a few days in advance soon. So guys, I will see you on that one. Follow me on Instagram. I'm always there, one way or the other. And also stay in touch with my community tab because I post different things there now, and that's when you can find me for the most part. Thank you very much, guys. It has been a pleasure. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.